Johnson type? Do I strike you as the type of person to give everything and not take any credit for it? Come on,
yes,
man.
I'm
yes,
selfish
as hell. Come on.
You don't seem selfish to me.
You're doing a great job at selling it, Pin, because you seem like one of the most genuine dudes who'll just give. I did not know you were a scumbag. I did not know that.
Total scumbag.
It's better to give than receive.
I had you as a philanthropist.
And that's why we're giving you guys the promo code panel with PrizePicks, who this show is brought to you by. And also what we're giving you guys is a top tier show right now, top tier entertainment, top tier personalities and takes right here on the panel. As you can see, Ox's shirt, he's repping the Kings. But you can see the title of the show where it says SGA erupted for a career high. We are definitely going to talk about that. It was also some other good games last night. The Rockets and the Cavs went down to the wire. The Wolves barely escaped the Mavericks. You had KD and the Suns coming up with a win in Brooklyn. A battle of two top 10, maybe top 5 point guards, Trae Young, Cade Cunningham, and one point guard came up short and the other point guard balled out. So we'll talk about that. Once again, SGA did what he did. Ja Morant and Mark Williams. Is it maybe Ja Morant and Mark Williams now? Is that their 1-2 punch? Well, Mark Williams also had a career high in a career game, and he went off last night. We'll talk about that. The Kings, once again, are continuing to trend upward thanks to their new coach, and the Boston Celtics got it done last night, too. We got to talk about all these games. But
that's all you got to say?
Did I miss something?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Did I not mention how somebody's chain got snatched last night?
Yo,
I'm not going to interrupt. Go ahead, Ryan. Do your thing.
We're going to start with SGA.
Let's do that.
I think that is the proper thing to start with.
I have a feeling this conversation about SGA is going to get really heated. It's going to get really long-winded. I feel like a lot of people are going to say some stuff, but I do want to give a big shout out to Jaden Springer for carrying the Celtics through what could have been one of the most humiliating losses in franchise history. Frankly, this is the defending champions. I don't care if you don't got Kristaps Porzingis. I don't care. You cannot have plays like that down the stretch with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum coughing it up back to back, right? You can't have that. So I was watching that game, very interested to watch what would happen because I believe the Celtics team consistently plays down to their competition. And last night, Jaden Springer was like, not on my watch. Not on my watch. It's not going to happen on my watch.
Pin, do you still think they're playing down to their competition?
Yes, sir. They lost. They were 1 point from losing to the New Orleans Pelicans. They lost to the Toronto Raptors at full strength, by the way. And they damn near lost to the G League squad that is the LA Clippers last night. The Clippers, just for anyone who didn't watch that, just because Kawhi didn't play, Harden didn't play, Zubas didn't play, Batum didn't play, Powell didn't play. Chris Dunn didn't play. Damn it, they were getting cooked by Derrick Jones Jr.
And
man, okay, Kevin Porter Jr. as well. So the juniors got him. And who else?
Amir Coffey. I mean, who would have thought that Porter Jr., Jones Jr., and Coffey would all three give you 20-point games?
Not me.
Not me.
Y'all know how I say it. This is the big bad Celtics chill. You know, you always got to put the big and bad in front of it.
Yo, so the first thing I wanted to bring up is
can you admit though they've for the last that's why I was asking you at this juncture, Pin, like they're 10-4 like in the last month, so like their record is there, but just in terms of like their overall performance, I mean they've been doing well. Sorry, they're 9-7. In the last month, basically. They're 9-7 in the last month.
They've been 11-9. Over the last 20 games, they've been 11-9. They barely over 500 in the last 20 games.
Yeah, and they've been relatively healthy.
Yeah, their net rating is still good. Like, they're still performing as an elite team, chill. But the problem is they're,
but what do you
for whatever reason,
forget the net rating. What do you guys tell you?
They're doing this every game, basically.
No,
Before we move any further in this conversation, I just want to make something clear. And I heard this yesterday online. First and foremost, I am much better looking than Aaron Glenn. So stop calling me Aaron Glenn. Okay, I do not coach the New York
why
Jets.
do you measure yourself like that? You do look like him.
I am better looking than Aaron Glenn. So stop measuring.
Do you know
so stop
Aaron Glenn
talking
or
to me.
something?
I do know Aaron Glenn. Used to play for the Jets, cornerback for the
No,
Jets.
do you know him personally? Like, what's up?
I do not know him, but I'm better looking at stop. I do not look like Aaron Glenn. First of all, he's darker than me.
You do kind of look like
That's
him. I've
number
never
one.
heard that before. But you do kind of look like him. Put a picture up.
Number one, he's darker than me. That's number one. Number one, he is darker than me. So that right there, in terms of the complexion, that doesn't work. Number two, I'm taller than him, and I'm better looking than this dude. So I do not look like Aaron Glenn. That doesn't mean that Aaron Glenn is.
How do you determine better looking?
That doesn't mean he's not a good looking dude. That doesn't mean he's not a good looking dude because he's a good looking dude. But please, enough with it. The only reason why y'all saying Aaron Glenn is because of the snow. That's it. That's the only reason why y'all saying Aaron Glenn. I don't think I look like Aaron Glenn at all. I don't.
It's time to pull out a Dennis Rodman.
But anyway,
dye your hair red.
But anyways, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Penn. You were talking.
I don't.
Chill.
Yeah,
you were talking about. You were talking about.
Put it up.
Let's proceed.
Okay.
Oh, put it up, bro.
Yo, and another game that I feel like we're not going to give a lot of attention to tonight because of everything that SGA did, which was 54 points, is the Kings. I thought the Kings played beautiful defense. Oh, you will. But I want to co-sign that.
We're going to get to that. Let's go one game at a time, though. I said let's talk about SGA. You jumped into the Boston Clippers game. So let's stay right here. Boston and Clippers, y'all. You had mentioned, Swiper, that they do this. Is that concerning with you guys, or is it merely just the champions?
I just think they're not the best team. They're not a top two. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a couple teams I would take them, over series in them. I just don't think they're the same kind of team. I told Chill I don't think they're physical. I just think that they're a very good team. I think they're having a worse year than last year. I think the NBA's gotten better as a whole. And people are just not afraid of the Celtics. Like but that's not like a fear thing. Like it's not like a man fear. It's just, I think if you realize you can get with them, especially late game situations in the fourth quarter, and teams just are not afraid of them. And I think in the Eastern Conference, when it comes down to it, I think the Knicks are going to feel confident. Not saying they'll beat them. I think the Bucks are going to feel confident. Not saying they're going to beat them. Cleveland's going to feel confident, even though Chill. Donovan Mitchell keep disappearing in big games as of late. That's
not true. That's not true.
No, he factually is. The Thunder game, both of them. Just
so you know, before yesterday, coming into yesterday's game, the last 2 games, he's averaging 35 a game. He got the door shut on him by arguably the best. Did you hear what I said? I heard exactly what you just said.
You obviously didn't. You obviously didn't.
I heard everything that you did. I heard everything that you just said. You keep saying disappearing. He didn't disappear.
He disappeared yesterday.
He didn't disappear late. He didn't disappear late in the Minnesota game. He didn't disappear late in the game that they had previous to that. No, he didn't. He had 38 again.
Okay, I didn't realize Chill was protecting Donovan Mitchell today. That's your new guy? My bad. Let me say this. Versus the Celtics. Versus the Celtics. I still think Cleveland can get with them 100% if they're 100% healthy. Absolutely. No question.
The problem.
Do you know what Donovan Mitchell averages against the Celtics? He averages 35 points per game. So much for disappearing against big games. You know what I mean? Selective sample. I said they can get with them. That's literally what I said. What I said is as of late in the 3 biggest games as of late they played in, which is the Thunder, and then yesterday versus. So what have you done for me lately? I got you. I got
that part. The problem that I'm having with the Celtics is that they don't definitively beat teams. That's why they leave the door open. Like I'm watching, they should have beat Atlanta. And to your point, Penn, we talked about that late game collapse. The same thing happened against Atlanta a couple of nights ago. Jaylen Brown drops the ball out of bounds. The game should have been over. Go to the stripe, ice the game. And they've always struggled with Atlanta, but the late game execution where they have a difficult time getting the ball in bounds, where they don't execute out of bounds plays. This kind of stuff, when you get late in games, to Swiper's point, gives other teams confidence that, well, if we stick around, we got a shot at the end. They don't definitively end teams, no matter who it is, whether it's the Clippers who don't have their whole lineup or it's Charlotte. They don't smoke anybody. That's why teams feel like they can beat them.
I mean, they beat the Raptors by 55.
Right.
I get you. But then they lost the next game, and then they were overtime the first game. So it's like, that to me is crazy. You got that much talent. You got Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday. That in itself, regardless of who else plays, you got 3 of those guys with all the role players you got. Peyton Pritchard coming off the bench, going bananas from 3. You should be able to beat most lottery teams by 10 to 15 points easy.
You should handle them. You should.
The problem is this team, I've always believed that teams take on the personality of their best player. They do. So if your best player kind of laid back, You know, he only gets up for the big games, but then against the Charlottes and the Torontos of the world, he doesn't really care too much. I feel like your team sort of carries that through too. And I feel like that's Jason Tatum.
Since December 1st, the Celtics are 15-10. Prior to that, they were 16-3. So I don't know. Maybe it was something about Christmas season. Maybe it's a post-Thanksgiving hangover. I don't know what it is. But since December 1st, they haven't really, and that's when they lost the first game to Cleveland. They've won like 2 games, lose a game, 3 games, lose a game, 2 games, something like that. So I don't know. It just hasn't really been the same for him.
Last 10 games, to solidify my point, last 10 games in the clutch that they didn't play. Last 10 games sample size for Cleveland, Mitchell was shooting 20% from the field and 33% from 3 in the clutch in the fourth quarter, as of late, as I've said earlier. So again, I think that the Celtics still can beat anybody. Their ceiling is to beat anybody, absolutely. But then their floor is for whatever reason demonstrably lower than what I thought it would be. Would you
favor them in a series against OKC?
No, heck no.
Would you favor them in a series against Denver?
No, I think that's a horrible matchup for them. 100%.
Cool. So yeah, so I mean they're not definitive favorites. They walked into the season.
But do you think they can get with? What do you feel like the difference would be for them in the OKC series? And for me, it's going to come down to I think that they have a lesser propensity than OKC to just bottom out and not be able to make shots. That would be OKC's kryptonite if they're shooting, like that they would somehow underperform for a 6 or 7 minute stretch or something, and the Celtics would not. But I think OKC, because they have such a litany of defenders.
I'll tell you the difference. Okay, so yesterday, it leads perfectly because we're talking about OKC. We're going to talk about Shai, and that's the title of the show. So yesterday, Shai put up 54 points. Okay, so there's this dude here, Javon Shepherd, really big deal. Toronto, you know, I'm not sure if you all heard of Javon Shepherd. He was a really big deal. Our team actually played against his team way back when because we're around the same age. Great player. He got so he texted Shai last night to congratulate him on his 54 points. And Shai texted back. He's like, no, I didn't have that good a game. I didn't get hot from 3. I missed a lot of easy ones. That's how I know that you're not going to get complacent. That's how I know that you're going to keep chasing. And that's how I know, because when you're not satisfied with what everyone else is gassing you up on, that's where, you know, yesterday when I said Kobe, Michael, that's what I'm talking about. That dog. Jokic has that too. You don't ever see Jokic get like super excited about stuff. Duncan had that too. Like there's something consistent about great players that they don't get too high on themselves. Like they win a championship, their first thought is, yeah, we should have probably won it in fewer games. They're very self-critical, miserable people, but they are great for that reason. Djokovic is like possibly one of the greatest athletes I've ever seen in my life. 99 titles. Trust me, that dude is not complacent. He's not even satisfied right now, and he's the greatest tennis player of all time. Serena Williams was like that too. So you talk about the mind of greatness, that to me bleeds over onto the rest of your, you know, team. And whether the OKC Thunder have 3 guys or 4 guys like that, Shai's like that. So in a series where they're down 2-0, he's not going to panic. He doesn't give up. But if they're up 2-0, he's not going to get complacent either. So that's to me, that's what defines
real quick. First off, hello to everybody. How everybody doing? What did I come into at first when y'all were talking about the Celtics? Were y'all going over that Celtic Clipper game? Or
we were saying they were a much better franchise than the Lakers all time. That's what we said.
Oh, so you were lying. Okay.
No. We were criticizing them for playing down to their competition and their late game execution. Specifically to those who didn't stay up and watch that game, it was Jaylen Brown in the clutch. Right, they were up 2. So he just needs to hold on to the damn basketball.
The same thing against Atlanta.
Hold the damn basketball, and he tosses it away. Derrick Jones gets he gets a breakaway dunk.
Yeah, I watched the game.
Right, and then you know, you got Jason Tatum, 4 seconds on the clock. He catches it on the baseline. He passes it out to Derek White, and who do you know? It's Derrick Jones Jr. to block the shot from Derek White. So I just think, to me, that's like, I'm not gonna blame Joe Mazzulla. I love Joe Mazzulla. I think he's a great coach. I don't think that's on him. I think that's the 2 players. That's your 2 best players. You got a good look for your 2 best players, and they choked.
By the way, Derrick Jones Jr.'s just right quick, real talk. Derrick Jones Jr. looking at you guys like, I know you guys. Hey, I I seen you guys. I seen y'all before. We didn't got it on before.
Finals,
I'm not scared of y'all.
Veteran.
Yeah, but they got smacked.
No, they did. I'm just bigging up Derrick Jones Jr. because he looked good last night.
Derrick Jones Jr. is awesome, but he was not their best player in the finals last night. He was basically he was doing a carry.
They got tossed up, man. It's not like.
And on top of that, the Celtics did win last night. Even though they might have played down to their competition, they did win last night. They didn't lose. I mean, they did win. No doubt about that. But
they won. That's a fact. Swipe. That's a fact.
I mean, they did win last night. I don't think that's the.
You can definitely choke in a win, though. You can definitely choke in a win.
You don't choke. No, you don't choke in a win. You survive in a win. Okay, those two things are not the same. Those two things are not the same. You survive in a win.
I mean, they won the basketball game. That's what's important. On top of that, I mean, we can't talk about their faults or whatever. Talk about how the Clippers look. I think that's a good sign though for the Clippers. Their role players have been playing really good all season. So that's a good sign for them. But ultimately, the Boston Celtics still won the game. So.
Ox, we were the smart ones. We both said that the Clippers are going to be one of them teams this year. Look at us, looking good.
If I'm not mistaken,
I'm also hearing that now y'all don't have the Celtics as the favorite anymore. So now
I don't.
Yeah, that's crazy. Real talk.
I've been on OKC bandwagon.
I would like to clarify the actual position because I would ask the question. What I said was they still deserve to be the favorite because you want the title. For me, you got to take the reins from somebody. That's how I feel. Like you have to earn it because OKC is better in the regular season, 100%. Cleveland's better in the regular season, 100%. I think there's matchup advantages that both of those teams would have, but I also think there's ways that the Celtics could beat both of those teams. But again, that's more situational matchup, execution, and you obviously have to rise to the level to get to that point. What I do think is for certain is the Celtics, as I've been looking at it over the last month. Again, y'all know I do other shows. And Locked On Celtics, they are played down to the competition. Raptors game, played down to the competition. Kings game when they lost, played down to the competition last night. It's been a common theme. I know. I'm agree. Ox, you're 100% right. That's what I'm saying. That's
not playing down the competition. That's just getting popped,
dude. How many times have they been almost on the brinks of losing, and they won by 1 point against a team they had no business being in? Last night, overtime against the Clippers G League squad, going up down to the wire. 1 point.
But that happens. Like that happens in an 82 game regular season. No, you're gonna have bad games. You're gonna have good games.
When the talent,
like in January,
when the talent when the talent gap is so wide, there should never be a situation where you're going down to overtime against the Clippers. Let's be for real here.
So we've never seen the championship team lose or be in a tight game.
We haven't seen them do it consistently like this.
So a prime example would be last night. I watched that Oklahoma City Utah game. I was trying to watch the Houston game, but turns out they was in a dogfight. You know why they were in a dogfight? They were in a dogfight because they thought that they could walk right past Utah, and they found out that no, that's not what's going to happen. So Shai goes, "Oh shit, I'm going to have to score 50 in order for us to win tonight."
The ball 33 times.
That's what actually happened. Now let's rewind. Let's get back to the Celtics, who is the same Clipper team that went into Boston last year and beat them by 25, smoked them. But what happened in the end with the Clippers? They broke down. Meanwhile, you got the Cleveland Cavaliers who've been better this season since we're on the subject of playoffs. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers who've been better. But what are they going to have to do in order to beat the Boston Celtics? They're going to have to outshoot them because that's who the Boston Celtics are. As good as I want to make sure that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Swiper, because can you tell me, I'm glad you brought that up, Swiper, because can you tell me which team in the NBA who's in the top 5 in the league in offense and defense? Go.
Let me look it up for you.
I'll tell you right now, it's the Boston Celtics.
Grizzlies.
I like the Boston Celtics.
Memphis
I like the team that's in the top 5 in offense and defense in a 7-game series.
The Grizzlies are up there too. Are they?
Against anybody.
Do you have that? Do you have that same? Do you have the same approach with the Grizzlies? I'm confused. Or is it just one team?
So if that's the case, and I have the veteran leadership of the Boston Celtics, and not only do I have the veteran leadership, I got the players that they have. I like the Celtics in any series against anybody.
I don't. Well, personally,
we tend to do this with the Celtics. Like
every the Memphis
so, like last year,
5th and 6th. Okay, they're out. Okay.
Last year, we did this thing where we were like, because we didn't. Well, the masses didn't believe in the Celtics, and it was like, oh, they can lose to this team, they can lose to that team, they can lose to this team, they can lose to that team, and then they end up winning the championship.
No, that's. I think real talk. I think that's completely disingenuous. Completely disingenuous.
How was that disingenuous?
Because they literally, and again, this is no excuse. This is no excuse. I'm just saying this is what happened. The Heat obviously did not have their best player in that series. I think the Cleveland series mattered. No, again, Chill, this is not about excuse. I'm giving you context. They went 16-3, and Chill can laugh and gas and be mad all he wants, be emotional.
I'm tired of hearing this from you, Swiper.
Cleveland, I'm telling you what happened. Cleveland didn't have Jared Allen, and they didn't have Donovan Mitchell for half the series. Okay, is that not what happened?
I agree.
That's exactly what happened.
And then the Pacers unexpectedly made the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, and then Tyrese Halliburton was gone for half the series. Is that not what happened? Okay, and then in the NBA Finals, I think they played the perfect matchup. I never thought the Mavs were going to beat them. I said the Celtics were going to dog walk them.
Bleeding.
And then what'd you say?
Luka's knee was bleeding.
Don't forget about that too.
Luka was hurt.
To be fair,
he was barely walking.
What does that got to do? What does that got to do with structure?
But he was hurt. He was hurt. But at the same time, they were a horrible matchup. That was a horrible matchup for them.
We can all just admit it. The Celtics took a walk down Candy Lane last year in the playoffs, and that's all right.
I want to give context to every championship except for the 2023 championship.
No.
They were the best team all year in basketball last year.
I don't understand. Yeah, but I'm saying like they haven't been pressed. They haven't been pressed in the playoffs, is what I'm saying. Last year, I think this year, if it all comes down to it, they can be pressed this season. That's all I'm saying.
Which is a fair statement. And they were pressed in 23, and they ended up losing in Game 7. Right? They were pressed in 23, losing in Game 7.
Yeah, they were down 3-0. They never should have been down 3-0.
And then they came back and got themselves.
But to be clear, Embiid Game 6, Tatum said, "Not in my house." Came back, won the game, had 16 points in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter in Philly, and then he had a 50-piece in Game 7, and he did exactly what I thought he would do.
So they have been pressed. So they have been pressed.
I just said last year. I said last year. Yeah, 100%.
But this is a very similar group that has been pressed.
A more talented Eastern Conference than it was at that point.
So then the Miami Heat, who, and you and I have already had this conversation. For those of you who don't know, the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler, the Celtics in those 5 games, Penn, I don't know if you know this, Penn, but they had leads of 28, 33, 36, and 38.
Yeah, first seed to 8th seed. They should win that match.
In 4 of those 5 games. So if you want to add Jimmy Butler to that, right? If you want to add Jimmy Butler to that, you're telling me that if you add Jimmy Butler to that now he makes the difference in that series.
No, it's an 8th seed versus a first seed out of the play-in.
You didn't have that issue when y'all went. You didn't have that issue when they went to the finals.
No, but I'm saying they never would. I don't think the Heat ever would have beat them.
And they dropped it.
No, chill. If you're going to represent my point, represent it correctly. An 8th seed traditionally is not going to beat a first seed. They were a better team and healthier team in 23 than in 24. Very easy math. Go ahead.
Right, and that's my point. The point is that and the way that they dominated them without Jimmy Butler. If Jimmy Butler is on that crew, if you're telling me
that
he makes
Celtics
that much,
still win.
The Celtics still win that series. Right. So when you bring up stuff like they had a cakewalk to the East Finals,
they did. Now do second round and third round. Easy.
This is exactly what. Let's discuss the Cleveland series. You just brought up about how Donovan Mitchell hasn't been good late in games. Well, he ended up missing the game. Even if he played 4 to 5 games.
In the last, I said late. This is why you get lost. This is why you get lost.
I don't get lost.
I said as of late. I said as of late. He's been a good clutch player in the playoffs before.
But last year, of those 5 games that they played, he played 4 of them. That's 80% of the series. And weren't.
Where was Jared Allen?
Jared Allen, he wasn't in the series because he got hurt. Sure. Now, this season with Jared Allen being healthy, with Evan Mobley taking a step, with Donovan Mitchell being more available, with Darius Garland taking a step, with them having better players, we're going to see a better series if we get to see them. So I'd like to know if they end up in dogfights and they end up winning, what's going to be the narrative on the Bulls?
They did their job. I don't understand. This is what I'm confused about, because Chill wants to make this a 1v1 about the Celtics run last year, which I think everybody thought was a cakewalk because we know it was. But it's not a disrespect to them. They just didn't get pressed. This year, they're not going to be in a situation to go 16-3. That's what I'm saying, Chill. Because the Eastern Conference is better. The Western Conference is, I think, going to be better out of the top. I just think the Mavs were a horrible matchup.
Does it matter if they win? If they win a championship, does it matter if they go 16-3, or does it?
Well, I think it's just going to be more prototypical year. That's what I'm saying.
I just wanted to give Jaden.
Yeah, but what if they win? Does the record matter?
No, I don't care.
I don't know how it ended up here, but I just wanted to say Jaden Springer hit his first 2 threes of the season. I really believe in that. I really believed in that dude as a prospect. It's always nice to see somebody persevere after a long, extended, absence from the limelight.
Oh, Pin, because people are addressing the Nuggets front up. Let me just ask real talk. Real talk. Were the 2023 Lakers better than any team, any of the teams that the Celtics faced last year in the playoffs? I just for context, because the people in the chat are going about the Nuggets.
Were they better than Dallas?
Sure.
The Dallas wasn't itself in the finals. They were 100%.
Were they better than the Pacers?
Yes. Awful. Go ahead, real talk.
You were better than any team in the Eastern Conference.
That is awful.
For sure.
It just is. Well, the Lakers better. They just wasn't better than y'all. We can say the same thing about the Lakers in the Western Conference. If they avoid the Denver Nuggets, they could be in the finals.
No, but I'm not saying. But like, so that's what I'm asking. I'm saying, like, were those 23 Lakers team better than the 24 teams that the Celtics played in the playoffs? You see,
as real talk. You see, he said real talk.
Because he's the actual Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, he put me in a bind because what I'm supposed to say, my team ass or something. Like, of course.
Do you think that Lakers team? Because again, the narrative about the Lakers post trade, they had the best defense in the NBA playoffs, and they were a resurgent team. That's what the narrative was, and people picked the Lakers to win the title that year after the trade. So I don't know what the confusion is about. Right. Real talk with his sleepy voice over there picked the Lakers in the Nuggets series before the series started. That clown said 4-2 at best for Denver, and I talked to him going into it. I know real talk. I've known real talk for years. That's my guy. My guy he's biased as a blind bat in a cave. All right, that's my dog. I just wanted to get his.
I see we share that in common. We share that real talk.
Are you blind and are you sleepy?
Not at all. I mean, I did just get up a few minutes ago, but I'm up though. Damn sure ain't blind. These ain't even got prescription in them. I just wear them because I like them.
Okay. Yeah, you just styling right now. I see you. But hey, since we here, I do want to ask everybody this question. Seeing that the Celtics are the defending champions and they came out the East last year, and we all know, even prior to this conversation we all know that the Celtics are the favorites to come out the East. So I got to ask you guys, who do you think has the best chance to beat the Celtics?
In the league or East?
No, in the East.
In East. Oh, Cleveland.
Real talk?
My actual team, I would say in the East would actually be Orlando, but I don't know how they're putting things together. I don't know.
Would Paulo Banchero be the best wing in that series?
You said what?
Would Paulo be the best wing in that series?
No, but Paulo and Franz would be better than Jaylen Brown.
Oh, wow. Love it. Oh, wow. Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown, Ox?
Yeah.
Getting clamped by Derrick Jones Jr. That same Jaylen Brown. I actually agree with Real Talk. I would pick Orlando as the team to knock them off.
Okay.
It would have to.
When is Mo coming back? That's also important.
He's not coming back. He's not coming back.
Mo down for the
towards the CL, right?
It would have to be. Man. It would have to
Wendell Carter and Bataze might. That's still nice though.
I want to see what teams do at the trade deadline because there's going to be a lot of teams selling, and some of these teams, especially Orlando, they actually have young assets to play with. They got lottery picks that barely play for them. Jet Howard barely plays for them, right? So they got some future draft assets too. I mean, if they see like, okay, Paolo's legit, Franz legit, Jalen Suggs legit, windows open, boom, go for it, bro.
I like Wendell, man. If he wasn't making more money, and I said this a year ago, if he wasn't making more money, I think he would be great, like next to AD or something, or another team. Like he would be a phenomenal small, big, like a small, strong ball center. Like he just got a good jumper now. He's a very good defender.
All right.
Huh?
Who?
Wendell Carter Jr. I've always liked Wendell Carter.
He cool. I like Wendell, but I don't think
the best player over 6'10" on that team is Jonathan Isaac.
Best player over 6'10",
but I don't think Orlando ready for Boston yet. I was earlier. I was high on them, but I think they're gonna need another season. I like Orlando a lot. Obviously, I mean I know that, but
I feel like they're not afraid of them.
They're not.
Well, they beat them. They beat them in the title year 3 times.
Yeah, they're certainly not afraid of them, but they're not ready for them in the playoffs though. I think only Cleveland and New York got real action at beating.
I mean,
who would you put your money on out of those two?
I wouldn't.
Who do you think has the best chance?
Lose too much money.
Yeah.
Or you think it doesn't really matter?
I don't know, but I don't know. I go back and forth with Cleveland in New York and Boston. Like tomorrow I might have New York winning the East. And the next day I might have Cleveland winning the East. The East, those top 3 teams to me is just so mixed up. And then don't forget Milwaukee too. So and just like the Pinn's point was talking about the trade deadline, if Milwaukee shakes a couple things up, man, they can instantly be the favorites. So
that's a fact. If they get Bradley Beal,
that trade deadline is right around the corner.
You think Bradley Beal moves them past the
Celtics?
He doesn't.
Make the trade.
Wait. Swiper. 100%. Last time I heard you say 100% was yesterday on Shai under. You said Shai.
I didn't think they were going to be in a dogfight with the Jazz. That's my fault.
But chill, hold on, chill. How come you were so quick 100%. To say no? Penny absolutely doesn't. How does Bradley Beal not make them better?
Okay, there's a difference between being better and being the favorites. Those two things are not the same thing.
Well, yeah, for sure. Does he make already right there on the brink?
Y'all got to remember, just 4 score years ago, Bradley Beal led the NBA in scoring almost. Just 4 years ago.
Is he the same guy who was 4 years ago?
He probably had hair. Like there's a lot that can happen in 4 years.
He's not the same player he was 4 years ago, but he's
the same guy he was 2 years ago?
But let's say it's not Bradley Beal. Like we don't got to swing for the fences with Bradley Beal. They can get more perimeter defense. They can shore up their second unit. There's a lot of things you can do in the trade deadline that aren't blockbuster moves that can make your team better and more competent. Right. So with that being said, I wasn't necessarily talking about Bradley Beal. I was just saying that let's not forget about the Bucks. But to answer your question, Ron, I wouldn't put my money on anybody to beat Boston in the East. I think Boston probably will come out the East, but just to answer your question, I'm gonna go with New York. I think New York got a better chance than Cleveland to beat the Boston Celtics.
I like New York. I'm just like Tibbs. You can't run your soldiers into the ground and expect them to go the full distance.
Some soldiers is harder than other soldiers. Maybe you can.
If they that hard, then they got it. But I'll be like,
there was this question. There was this question. I think I don't know if it was on playback or what, but they asked like if you could have one more award, what would it be in the NBA? And we were talking about hustle. We were talking about best player, all that stuff. You remember that conversation? Yeah. I wish there was an all-washed team, so we could just ceremoniously just.
All right. Here, first round draft picks. The top five candidates: Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, Chill,
Jamal.
Then we got
Jamal
Murray, maybe. Okay, first team all washed.
What do you mean, maybe? So in there.
Who else?
Respect, Chris Middleton.
Swiper, man, y'all come up here and do this every day, man.
Paul George is really.
Is Embiid on that list?
Paul George is starting on that team.
Is Embiid on that list? Oxford.
Embiid the coach.
Embiid been on that.
Embiid the coach because he can't play, so he's the coach.
Facts. He the water boy, team manager.
Man, y'all gotta leave Uncle alone, bro. Y'all done got Uncle upset.
Man, chill. It's not.
Swiper been picking at him for 32 minutes and 55 seconds.
I didn't. What are you talking about? We had a whole conversation.
The first thing you said, real talk said Orlando. You quick. Will Paulo Banchero be the best wing in that? Why
would that? What's that got to do with Chill? I don't understand that. I'm talking to him.
I went.
So he represents Jason Tatum at all times. That's crazy. If you bring up Jokic, that ain't got nothing to do with me. Penn's right here. He's a huge fan. You talking to Penn?
Now you about to come back and light your ass up.
I'm leading the SGA for MVP campaign. Leave me alone.
When you come back, you're cooked.
Penn, I know what that's about.
3.
What do you think it's about?
2.
I see you.
1.
What do you think it's about? What you think it's about?
Justin Trudeau is stepping down and you're stepping up. I see you, bro. I see you.
Justin Trudeau. What the hell do I give a shit about that dude? I don't like that dude.
All right, y'all. We gonna keep it lit. Before we get off this Celtics team, though, I came across an interesting stat last night. Well, not the Celtics, the Clippers. The stat is the Clippers this season with Kawhi Leonard on the floor, their offensive rating is 127.8. That's good for first in the NBA. Yep. Their defensive rating is 96.5.
Yep.
That's good for first in the NBA. And their net rating is 31.3. That's good for first in the NBA.
Yeah, this is 5 games, right?
How many games possession?
It's a 5-game sample size. Real talk.
I just want to say, I think the Clippers. First of all, Ty Lue is my coach of the year, straight up. Coach of the year.
Whoa.
Over Ime?
Jamal Mosley?
Let's let him explain himself. Go ahead.
Jamal Mosley's amazing. Amazing. I think Mark Daignault's great. I think that there have been a lot of coaches that have done a great job. Jordi Fernandez, frankly, he's not going to get any credit for what the Brooklyn Nets did early. I think he's been great. There's a lot of coaches that are doing a great job. I think Ty Lue is my coach of the year. Just that coaching staff is so great.
I don't hate it.
Yo, I watched this team last night press
crazy,
an
bro.
NBA champion.
Big
the
market,
way you press like a terrible team in high school and make them cough up the ball. You had the Celtics coach jumping up and down on the sideline, going crazy, trying to save his team from backcourt violations. Bro, their defense is so locked in. The way that team plays basketball is it's beautiful to see. And the fact that they have, look, we're talking about James Harden, resurrection, Norman Powell, MIP. We're talking about so many players, but look at this roster up and down and tell me most people didn't have them basically falling out of the play-in.
Yeah.
I didn't have them in the playoff.
There we go. So they have massive.
I didn't have them in the playoffs.
They got Zubac playing great. They got Derrick Jones playing great. They got all these dudes playing great basketball. And I think their defense is just so good. And just heard those numbers with Kawhi. I'm sorry, like it's difficult, man.
5 games.
Okay, well, look at the games that they played without Kawhi. They were
a playoff team with Harden. They've been good this year. I told y'all. This was y'all that didn't believe. I don't know what to tell you. I told y'all they were going to be good. We had this whole conversation in the preseason. We said with James Harden, Ivica Zubac, I probably spoke more about Chris Dunn, I think, than any GM or scout did this summer. And he has been phenomenal for them this year with Derrick Jones Jr. They're doing exactly what some of us said they would do because their defense has been literally leading the way for them. So I think Ty Lue gets a lot of credit for that, but I think there's other coaches who I think
shoot me your address so I can send you your participation trophy on that one.
I don't know how y'all didn't
talked
see this
about Chris Dunn the most.
100%.
I don't understand how y'all didn't see this. Like it was obvious that the Clippers was going to be a very competitive team, a playoff team. I don't know how y'all didn't see it. But Ron, if you can use 5 game sample sizes to talk about points per game and all that, right? I think Doug Christie's the coach of the year.
9 game sample size. This is the coach of the year.
I would say. But you use the 5 game sample size to spit that. So I'm like, I think.
What's Sacramento doing? What's Sacramento doing different today than they weren't with Mike Brown?
Well, when I heard the young lady interviewing Doug Christie yesterday,
Ellis,
and he was talking about, and they asked what do we got to do. Doug Christie said, we got to make them feel us, and it's just that simple. You know what I'm saying? When you talking basketball, that's why when you talk ball, there's certain things that you just already know. There's a prerequisite to basketball knowledge that we don't gotta say all the little things. It's just that simple. They gotta feel us. That's the type of coaching I like. I like that, coach. And then he put Keon and Keegan and said he gets no more. He gets no more.
I've never subscribed to this poking your chest out and we hear thing. Just because you ain't scared don't mean you don't get your ass whooped. I don't care about that.
Did you see the game last night, Joe?
But
did you see
if you are scared, you're gonna get mobbed.
However,
that's the thing.
What I'm saying when I watch the Kings as of late, the thing that I see the most is I see Sabonis looking at the basket way more than he did in the past. Way more. Not only is he looking at the basket,
third quarter though, chill, I was getting pissed.
He was, but he keeps the defense way more honest today than he did in the past. Like before, you sagging off of him, it was almost like he was with us. But now he's stopping and popping in transition. He's actually looking at the basket in the mid-range and shooting it. With him doing that, that makes them so much better. In addition to him fighting on the glass and being what he is in the post. Now, I think that adding Keon Ellis to the rotation and him playing way more than he did, because I never thought that it was about shooting, because I saw Brown take Keegan Murray out the game because he wouldn't shoot. I saw him do that. I don't think that was ever the problem. The question is I feel like with Sabonis in particular, he's looking at the basket more than any of those other guys are.
26 and 18, chill. It's just another day in the office. It's just another day.
And see, I see. That's the thing, though, Ox. Like when you say stuff like that, that's why we don't talk about him, because of that right there. Like it sounds like You know, it's ho hum. No big deal. Ain't no big deal that he went almost 20 and 20 again for like the third time in a week. Ain't no big deal.
It's because he's in Sacramento. That has to be it.
That's why people don't talk about him as much as they should. That's why people don't talk about him nearly as much as they should be talking about him.
What, man? Be quiet, real talk. You barely y'all just start beating us for bonus. Please stop.
See, this is the thing about that. We're gonna
saying this even when they was beating us. I don't.
We're gonna keep acting like he had a terrible
LeBron went in the playoff last
he
year.
got out rebounded. He got out rebounded by Draymond Green and Kevon Looney. When you watching the games, he didn't have a bad series. You know what I'm saying? He really didn't. He just got out rebounded by Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. Coach Brown, I mean, he was never averaging 30. Like, what do you mean? That wasn't what he was out there. He wasn't averaging 30 that year. It was not like, did y'all expect him to?
Yeah, did he average? I don't think he averaged 20 in that series either.
I mean, that season, I believe he was averaging 20. I think he was averaging 21.
One of Sabonis' big positives is his rebounding, and you're telling me he got out rebounded.
And he still. So the thing about it is there was those games he was still having 13, 15, 16 rebounds. Is he supposed to have 30 rebounds? No, a lot of those rebounds are long rebounds.
Kevon off the glass.
He had, and like I said, he had 16 rebounds that game. And Coach Ime, my bad, Coach Brown supposed to. If you ask me, that's when you put Chimezie Metu in the game. Like, put another rebounder, put a guy that can run for those long boards. A lot of those were long rebounds, and he just out there watching. We out there watching DeMontis try to out rebound 3 people. You got to send him some help. So I understand that y'all can see Kevon Looney out there grabbing a bunch of rebounds, Draymond grabbing a bunch of rebounds. You're just like, well, that's DeMontis Sabonis' fault. That's just not how it works. I can't be the only one on the glass. You know what I'm saying? Even if I have 15, 16 boards, another game he had 11, 13 rebounds. If I'm out there getting boards, I need help. Like, you know what I'm saying? Chimezie Metu should have been in those games, a lot of those series.
But I also actively saw him turning down elbow jumper over elbow jump. Elbow jump after elbow jumper. He didn't want to look at the rim at all. He didn't want to go attack the basket. All he wanted to do was get into dribble handoff action, pick and roll action, and didn't contribute anything to the offense, really.
Those were the sets we were running. Once again, when you see how Steve Kerr made those adjustments, right? Steve Kerr made some really good adjustments in the way they was guarding that playing off of him. Coach Brown in turn has to make another adjustment to come out of that same ass offense, bring DeMontis from the baseline to come, you know what I'm saying, instead of having them up top where they're not respecting it, because all season he wasn't shooting that. It's not like it just happened in the playoffs. They was playing that same way all season. So it's like we got to make an adjustment. Obviously, Coach Brown wanted us to keep running that dribble handoff, this and that, and DeMontis wasn't breaking the offense. Now, to your point, I would have liked him to break the offense a little more, you know, attack downhill, shoot the ball. He just wasn't doing it. Coach Brown had to make an adjustment at that point, if you ask me. But once again, you know, that series already happened. We took him to 7. Steph bust our ass, but he didn't do that last night, though. You know what I'm saying? We got Keegan Murray.
He don't do that on Keon. Yeah.
Well, y'all know y'all sold out. Y'all sold out coverage on Steph Curry, and it ended up working.
That's what we got to do. Steph Curry's the most dangerous player to ever walk on the basketball court. Now, he's not the best player ever, but he's the most dangerous. We not just gonna sit there and let him do that stuff again. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
I felt that from Doug Christie, though.
Ox has been saying Coach Brown needs to make adjustments. Well, you know what? Coach Ron's gonna make some adjustments today. With my pick of the day on PrizePicks, y'all already know the drill. It's like go to your app store, type in PrizePicks, find PrizePicks, download PrizePicks, and I'm glad you asked why you think you should do that. Because on PrizePicks, you can run your game, control your game, and win your game. But ultimately, when you play just $5, you will get 50 back instantly in promo funds. Yes, y'all. It's really that easy. It's really that simple. And it's really that nice over on PrizePicks. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do you play? I got PrizePicks, but what do I do when I get there? It's fairly simple, y'all. You obviously register for an account. You verify your identity. You complete your deposit, yada, yada, yada. After you finally get in, you choose 2 to 6 player statistics that you really like. Yes, these are player projections from things from steals to sometimes dunks, 3-pointers made, scoring, rebounding, blocks, all of that good stuff. You find 6-player projections. You choose more or less on those projections. Sometimes you'll get a flex play. Sometimes you'll get a power play. And these good things are either boost your odds of winning or they might lower it. But if they lower it, they're going to raise the payout that you'll get. You choose your entry fee, which if you play $5, you'll get 50 back instantly. But the minimum is $5. And then after you do that, you submit your lineup. And right after that, you'll be able to cash out on your good earnings. It's really that quick. It's really that easy. And it's really that simple. And we do it every day on the show. But remember how I said Coach Ron's going to make some adjustments today? Penn, get in the game, yo. It's time for you to show us how it's done. Penn, you got 4 picks today. We're all going to sit back and be quiet.
No,
we're gonna let you...
don't do that.
Penn?
I don't want. I don't.
All right,
want
you do 2. I do 2.
Then we're gonna lose. No, just do it how you always do it. Come on. I know I'm on a bit of a hot streak or whatever, but yeah, I'm good.
I would like for you to show us how it's done. You can't.
First of all, I haven't researched this yet. I usually do a half an hour to an hour of research. That's why I gave you the LaMelo unders yesterday as a free gift to anyone who tailed that. I'm not bitching out. I mean, if I'm thinking like where I'm going. Well, show me Scotty Martin.
Don't even worry about it, Penn. I'm gonna show y'all how it's done. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I see Tyrese Halliburton's playing tonight. Oh, Ox is going with his
today. The Paris games are happening literally after the panel.
Oh, well, we gotta hurry up and get these in there. All right, cool. Well, I know Tyrese Halliburton's gonna put on a show in Perry. So can you put his name in there? Assist more, please.
You want the 8.5 or you want the
what's his
11.5?
Nah, we're going 8.5. Well, what's his demon points though?
24.5.
What's his demon threes?
4.5.
All right, we got a points and assists down there. That's really what I want right there. 26. Yeah, just give me more on that. Cool. Chill. What you rocking with tonight?
Denver and Sacramento. Let me take a look at that Denver line.
Oh, Denver's playing tonight?
Denver
yes,
and
Sacramento.
Damn.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's not too late. I didn't put it in, Ron.
Yeah, I got mine set up on my phone right now.
What you want, Chill?
I want to see what that Joker line. I want to see what that Joker line look like.
Man, Chill. They be acting crazy with Joker's line.
Like, do they?
They be having Joker
it's
at
lower
like
than normal because of the last 4 games. He's averaging 20 a game.
Yeah. It's lower than normal. 54.
And rebounds, assists been in.
I'll take that the 50 points is the PRA 50. I'll take what's the
going to be in the game? Is he going to be in the game though, Chill? That's the question.
What do you mean? I'm not going to.
Or are you saying y'all gonna blow out Sac?
Well, no, that's what they're hedging. They're hedging versus that because again, since Aaron Gordon's come back with the second unit, they're basically losing the non-Jokic minutes by half a point per game. And so what's happening is now the Jokic minutes are winning by like 15 to 20, and Jokic hasn't come back in the 4th quarter period. So that's what they're basically saying, like they think that
y'all be playing the weak teams. Man, y'all know what the
Mavericks for Kyrie. I mean, that's probably still better than the Kings are, respectfully.
Sure.
So chill. Who you rocking with?
Right.
Okay. Chill. Who you rocking with? You going regular or you want
take the demon off. I don't know if he goes 55.
That is insane, yo.
Yeah.
You don't want a double demon for 59?
Yeah, that's 60 as wild as hell.
I swear to God. Why are they doing that with Jokic?
Well, but if you think about it, that is 30-10 and that's 30-20 and 10.
30-15 and 15.
Yeah,
35.
It's not ridiculous to say that he can't do that because he can do that.
Oh my God.
But I'll take the more on the PRA for Joker.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Who's next?
Show me Scotty Barnes assists. Just want to see if they've adjusted it yet. Also, I don't know if Emmanuel Quickley's playing tonight. I need to check that.
6.5.
6.5. So they did move it up. Okay. I feel like his teammates really struggle on the road. So this could be less. No, definitely not. I wouldn't go there. What about Wemby? What's going on with Wemby? Wemby in Paris? Surprised we haven't taken him yet.
They got all his lines boosted right now.
Do they?
Yeah, they have him at 20. They have him at 29 as the line for scoring. I'm taking less.
What about blocks? He averaged 4 blocks a game last year. 3.5 or 4 blocks a game against Indiana last year. It's a high pace thing. It's a 4.5. Ooh.
Damn, 6 blocks.
It's just Goblin or the Demon.
Oh my God.
Oh. Okay, show me Trae Young assists. Unless you already took Trae Young assists.
Definitely show me that.
11.
You got a quadruple again?
Just a double.
I'm not. No, so the reason I'm being very cautious is because I have hit on my last 5 things, and the last 3 things I pushed back against were right. So I feel like anything I'm going to say right now, people are actually going to gamble on it. So I want to be very careful when I say this. I'm not sure about this, but
you don't have 11. You don't have to do one. You could choose.
I'm just saying 11 assists for Trae Young
is a regular night in office.
So more, right? And Pin, you know, if they take it and you don't hit, that's their problem.
Hey, Ox.
Give me 6.5 for Scotty.
Okay. What you say, Swiper?
I got Sabonis more at 18.5. Is that more realistic?
Already took Sabonis. Too late.
I'm looking at mine right now.
Hold on.
Oh, my bad. I thought you wanted me to put him on right now.
No, I'm just asking. Do you think 18.5 is
That's easy money? That's easing money.
All right, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and put this through. Unless y'all want to do Jamal Murray.
Might be cooking Jokic.
Zooming on that, Ox.
So real talking Swiper. That's crazy, bro.
Quickly is out tonight. So yeah. Scotty 6.5.
All right, Dominant Sabonis with a demon pick, a PRA 44.5. That's gonna be more. We got Tyrese Halliburton, points and assists 26.5. That's gonna be more. Nikola Jokic, 49.5 PRA. We're going more on that. And Scotty Barnes, 6.5 assists, more than that. We are going to put $10 on this and send this through, and we will be back to talk to you guys tomorrow about how we won this parlay. Amazing contest. All right, y'all. Let's get back to it. Salute to PrizePicks. You know the drill. Download the app and use promo code PANEL. All right. SGA, career high 54 points. They played against the Utah Jazz last night. And Oklahoma City, many of us expected them to blow out the Jazz, but the Jazz made it a competitive game. It went down to the wire. The Thunder ended up winning 123-114, and that was in large part due to SGA coming once again with 54 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Talk to me about this game. He went 17 for 35 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3.
I think
17 for 18 from free throw line too.
Yeah, he was even better in the first half than the second. But his mid-range shot at this point has become
one of the most lethal shots in basketball, if not the most lethal.
No, not the most lethal, but it's gonna get in maybe a couple more years. It's gonna get to like how far below like a KD pull up, Steph Curry 3, like Shaq inside post, Jokic floater. Like he could get to that point where like the SGA like that nail mid-range shot off movement nail mid-range shot might end up getting to that point. I mean it's unreal, chill. Like even the baseline, like that baseline over his shoulder fade on that left side. It's just it
looked to me watching that game last night, because again I was watching the Atlanta game, and then I found out that Oklahoma City was in a dogfight. I wanted to watch the Houston-Cleveland game, and I couldn't because that game turned into a dogfight. It looks like OKC. I feel like Utah maybe put a chink in some of their armor from the aspect of showing that they struggle with length and rebounding. And if Filipowski can rebound a little bit more and be a little bit better on the glass, I think that they would have had a better chance. I thought they did a good job in boxing up Sexton, coming to the lane and blitzing him. But I think Jalen Williams is playing himself out the rotation because he becomes ineffective a lot of times when he's not making wide open shots and he's not rebounding. But I don't give Shai enough credit for the on-ball defender that he is because of Caruso being on the floor, because Lou Dort being on the floor, because of Cason Wallace being on the floor, who completely tripped up Isaiah Collier last night, forced him into some rough turnovers when we had a really good ball game going on. And I'm not going to dominate the conversation, but what I can say is SGA showed last night that I am at the top of the league in MVP conversations. And I think that's a fact.
He's running away with this. I mean, so to let you know, his box plus minus in the last 4 games is madness. Okay, well, actually 5 of the last 6 games is crazy. So against New York,
where do you find game by game box plus minus?
Advanced game log on
advanced game log. So 19.5 box plus minus against New York, 16 against Chicago, against Cleveland. Sorry, 16 against Philly, 20.1 against Cleveland, 20.4 against Brooklyn, and then last night was 19.9 against Utah. People are going to say Utah. Oh, big deal. Utah played their dudes, man. They played John Collins. They played Colin Sexton. They were not trying to lose that game like the way they try to lose half the games this season. Okay, and again, this is a common philosophy among tanking teams: is we're going to give the Charlottes of the world our worst lineups, and we're going to give the OKCs and the Bostons our best shot. Because if everyone's got to win at least, I don't know, 10, 12, 15 games, let it be against the OKCs and the Bostons of the world. Let's get that morale for our fans. So every single time OKC or Houston or, Cleveland or Boston roll into town, these teams that are otherwise trying to lose games, suddenly they want to give their best shot. I think Utah gave them their best shot. And I think late in the game, Shai just took over. I find it fascinating how he gets open because, 6'6", you don't think he should be. He's not the burstiest athlete. But if you freeze frame any of his gathers, if you just freeze right before he gets open, look at where his legs are. Like he's basically doing the splits on the basketball court. The coordination to get back on balance when you're so off balance, the ability to shift, the ability to slow down and then boom, take that next step and then just not even know where your feet are going to be. It's impossible to predict. And the minute he gets to his shot and his spot on the court is like, it's money. It's 2 points. And the funny thing is, listening to him talk about his process, it doesn't feel like he's satisfied at all with where he's at right now as a basketball player. And that should be very, very scary because right now he is having one of the greatest guard seasons of all time. And he's not satisfied. Not at all. He's probably looking at his 3-point percentage like, damn, next year I would come back and be Steph Curry. If he figures that out, to the point of the defense, he is never going to be a defensive liability, ever. You can argue till you're blue in the face whether he's a better defender than Lou Dort, Caruso, whoever. But he's never going to be a defensive liability. I'm never going to see a team be like, oh, let's pick on Shai the way they pick on Luka, the way they pick on a lot of players in the league. Let's be honest.
They may have to pick on him off the strength that they can't pick on Lou Dort.
They do pick on.
He's a better defender than Jaylen Brown. I'm gonna put it that way. He's a better defender than Jaylen Brown. And if
I don't.
Who's a better defender than Jaylen Brown?
I don't know if I hate that.
I forgot you
SGA?
Yes.
SGA?
I don't know if I hate that.
He
I don't.
is.
I'm sure the best on-ball defender for the Luka versus Luka in the finals was.
I'm just not gonna do this today.
Yeah, maybe consistently. You won't say regular season, I guess, but I mean, I just
think and SGA is a damn good on-ball defender. He just gets overshadowed by Caruso.
No, he doesn't get overshadowed.
He 100% gets
because he's the worst option. He's the worst option to attack.
He gets attacked.
Yeah, he's the worst option.
And since you brought that up, Swiper, that he gets 100%. Attacked. How does he do in those attacks? By the way,
no, I'm bringing it to you. He's doing well, but I'm saying he's also the worst option. Like meaning, do I want Caruso? Do I want Dort? Do I want?
Yes. What are you watching? Are you?
This is not. No, I'm telling you.
You know the problem is. You know the problem is. You watch OKC ISOs, games with Denver colored
He's
goggles.
facing the most ISOs of any player on that roster for a reason. And I'm
and
saying
what is
some of
that reason?
Is
Is it that I want the best offensive player to actually have to defend?
100%. Which is,
or is it because I think he's a sieve and a pylon? And I think
to support the Canadian, they're doing it because he's the best
trying to make
offensive
me
option.
into yourself. I'm not like
you.
you.
I'm trying to explain what the
shit.
reason is.
Yo,
he's the best offensive option. And then on top of that, he's also the worst POA defender they have in their rotation among their guards and wings. That's why he's getting attacked.
Listen,
and he's doing well.
The problem,
all of those three things are true.
You know,
all of them are true.
Okay. Swiper, when you're backwards, you assume everybody else is backwards too. I'm not like you.
You're saying he's better than COTY. I mean, I'm not. I don't have to tell you. I'm not backwards about anything. You're putting
to say I don't. I have never, ever been one of those people that sat there and capped for Steve Nash winning MVPs ever. So you're not going to bring Canadian nothing to me. My allegiance, first and foremost, honestly, is to Serbia. My second allegiance probably is the United States. My third allegiance is probably to Canada. I'm just being honest. That's where I grew up. So yeah, I'm not some. I appreciate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for one thing and one thing only: basketball. I don't give a shit that he's from Canada. You never heard me say nothing positive in my life about Anthony Bennett. Never.
Bennett?
I am the biggest Dylan Brooks hater you've ever met in your life. Believe me, I don't care. I have been petitioning to trade Kelly Olynyk and Chris Boucher for God knows how long. I've never really been a huge RJ Barrett supporter. Come on, man. Don't brand me as some sort of Canadian mouthpiece, okay? I see what you're doing. You know what you do? You character assassinate. You trying to compare me to Justin Trudeau.
There's no character. Pin, you wouldn't even stop yapping while I was trying to defend why he gets attacked because you're so emotional about this.
I'm not emotional. I just think you're biased as hell.
This is the definition of emotional. I'm responding to you in context of the play and saying why does
SGA get attacked?
Because he's the worst option among all their wing defenders and guards.
That's a lie.
And then on top of that, between Caruso, between J-Dub, between Case and Wallace, and between Lue Dort, he's the worst among all four of those or five of those defenders to attack in space as a primary option.
Is he a good defender, Swiper?
Yes. And then on top of that,
like what actually doesn't matter.
Would he be the best? Would he be the best
wing
defender on most teams?
Keep going, Swiper. Keep going.
Would he be the best wing defender on most teams?
Keep going, Swiper.
No,
he's the worst defender of the five.
So among the five that I just mentioned, he's the worst option among all the five options they have that are elite. And then on the other end of this, he's doing a very good job because he's been very good positionally. And then on top of that, because he's their offensive engine, it makes the most sense to attack him, similar to any other offensive engine of that level in the sport. Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Jokic, Sabonis in space.
Don't
Oxford
put
Rivers.
him in those conversations.
Pen, wait a minute. Wait,
hold on. Hold on. Time out. Which conversations?
No, I want to
Jokic.
No, chill. Let him bury himself. What conversation?
No. First of all, to be completely clear, I am listening with 1% of my brain right now to what you got to say because I feel like I'm going to get brainwashed and honestly warped out of my mind. Let's be clear. I'm only passively paying attention to what you got to say. The rest of it, I'm just paying attention to the chat. I'm paying attention to the chat.
I think Pin. That means you're emotional. Is what I'm saying. So
go ahead, continue.
I think you're projecting. I think everything Swiper says, is
what I'm saying.
Let Pin go. Pin is trying to reply to Swiper.
Every single thing that Swiper is going to say, whether it's about Tatum, whether it's about Shai, whether it's about Jamal, whether it's about anybody, is always to prop up Jokic propaganda, MVP propaganda, and Denver propaganda. Frankly, that's all you got to say.
So, Pin, honestly, I guess. So
the problem is, here's the thing. When you're talking about OKC,
so what we can do, Pin, to satisfy your desires is for the next for the rest of the 29 teams in the league, even including tonight, Ox, I will not come back and talk about the Kings. I won't talk about the Wizards, Lakers.
No.
Because what's happening is Pin, as our guest, who I love, is accusing that I can't have any conversation about any player because it's always going to go back to Joker. What I'm saying is, if that's the prism we're viewing it from, when I said that we're saying he's getting attacked like any other offensive engine, if you feel like that's an insult, I mean, there's really no
Swiper. Now, can we get Swiper? Can we get back to the conversation at hand? So
I don't think so.
Yes, we can. 100%.
I don't have to take my Jokic glasses off.
Hold on. So Swiper, the points that you brought up of the five defenders, right? He's the worst. right? He's the worst. And your logic
Clearly, obviously the worst, too.
He's the worst.
Clearly.
And your logic of attacking him, basically to slow down him offensively, that does make sense. However, when I'm listening to you talk about him being the worst, it still sounds like it's a pick your poison because I think he's a great defender. Of those 5 defenders, him, Lou Dort, Cason Wallace, J-Dub, and Caruso, of those 5, that sounds to me like a pick your poison. Okay, instead of me getting shot, or instead of me getting ran over, or instead of me being in front of a firing squad, I'm going to get poisoned. I got to drink this poison instead. That doesn't lessen who SGA is as a defender because he's still a damn good point of attack defender. He navigates screens very well. He's damn good with his hands, which would explain why he is where he is as a defender in terms of steals. He's really good with his hands. But you may have better on-ball defenders. You may have better post defenders like Lou Dort, because I'm still mind blown how I'm watching Lou Dort slow down, how I'm watching him slow down the Euro yesterday in marketing, who's 6'11", and Lou Dort is 6'4", how he's slowing him down because he's physical with him. And I don't think SGA is as physical as Lou Dort is. However, he's still a great defender. It's just the fact that he's on the crew with better defenders. And the word that you use in terms of worse, I think that's what the trigger word is when I feel like it's more of pick your poison than it is.
Chill, that's a trigger word. A trick, like you said what Swiper said. Swiper's telling the truth. There's nothing wrong with me saying that you're on. There's nothing wrong with me saying that you're on a team with a bunch of great defenders and you happen to be a little lesser. So on any sane coach is not going to try to ISO with Lou Dort because, like you said, you're amazed at what you see. Right? We're going to go after SGA for the reasons Swiper said and the reasons you said, because these guys are better ISO defenders than him. And also, you're the engine of the offense. So we're going to put you in some more defensive action. That's all Swiper said. That's not a problem. That's just basketball.
But also,
but here's the thing.
SGA ain't no defensive stopper either. Like,
yes, he
we
is.
know that, Ron.
Yes, he is.
That's cool. That's cool. Hold on.
Yes, he is.
And nobody said he was a bad. Nobody said he was a bad defender.
Yes.
Go ahead. Hold on. Y'all are falling for the propaganda again. What Swiper does time and time again, every time one of these other elite players in the league have a great game, we end up talking about what they can't do. Y'all did the same shit up here when Giannis scored the 56 and Swiper and Penn was up here, and then it was, but Giannis doesn't do this.
I didn't switch
Giannis
that conversation that day, by the way.
No. Shai just scored 50-some points, and we up here talking about, hey, he's not a good defender and all that. Bump all that, bro. The man just scored 50-some points. He's the MVP of the league right now. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about the positive aspects of SGA. I don't want to hear about how he's the worst defender on the team.
I don't care. Said nor implied that SGA is a bad defender.
No, he did not.
Like,
hold on.
I didn't say he said he was a bad defender. I said we are talking about how SGA is the worst on the team. I didn't say he said he was bad. I did not say he said it was bad.
We're not talking about what he can't do.
I said this is what I'm saying, Mark. We are talking about him being the worst on the starting 5 or whatever. That shouldn't be the framework at all in which we're talking about SGA.
Well, it shouldn't have been something that got harped on for 15 minutes. It was meant to be something that was like, and then we get back to carrying an offensive and how great he is.
Carrying an offensive load.
Swiper said something that, in my opinion, is objectively true.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying it's not true.
And instead of everyone just clearly agreeing with that objective truth, it turned into a debate about how apparently Swiper said SGA is a bad defender. If everyone just agreed with what he said, which is true,
who said that?
This never would have happened.
Who said that Swiper said he was a bad defender?
Who doesn't agree that
the word words is what gets people like, okay, and then other people were like, well, Swipe in the chat. I'm reading the chat. Swiper's implying
that's the problem.
SGA is the worst defender, but that doesn't make him a bad defender. No one said he was. Swiper said,
chill. Pin that an emotional breakdown
because he is the lesser of all the great defenders on the perimeter. That does not make SGA a bad defender. That does not make SGA a defensive liability.
But who up here didn't acknowledge that?
That SGA gets targeted because he is the worst of a great bunch.
Penn said that Jaylen Brown's a better defender. Ox got mad about that, and then Penn kept going, and then Swiper stepped in and said that he's the 5th worst perimeter defender on the team. So he didn't necessarily say he was a bad defender, but he did say fifth worst.
SGA is not a good defender talk. The issue is Swiper said something that's pretty true, and because it's pretty true, but apparently it's all because Swiper's pushing a Jokic agenda instead of just talking about the game of basketball from an objective standpoint.
All he
said was something that I think most people would agree on.
Shai
if it wasn't Swiper who said it. If
No.
I was up here and said the exact same thing, or Ox said the exact same thing, because I said this a week ago and it didn't get this pushback. I said this a week ago. SGA is their 6th or 7th best defender.
You're wrong.
On the perimeter,
I don't. You are wrong, Moss. He is not the 6th or 7th best defender. No, he isn't.
About
How was he not?
We had the
How was he
conversation.
not?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
We disagreed on
First
Isaiah
of all,
Hartenstein.
he is
But the
98th
fact of the matter is,
percentile.
I said this a week ago, and it didn't turn into a 15-minute conversation about Swiper pushing Jokic propaganda. But because Swiper said it, all of a sudden, that's what it is. This is why
Morris, it looks like Penn has pushed back to that.
And not the message.
Who is he better than?
Swiper said something because you think it has an underlying meaning. Cool. Whatever the underlying meaning may be is not relevant. Is what Swiper said true or false?
Well, first off, it is some people that disagree.
Why is
he better than Casey Wallace? Because just last week you said Casey Wallace isn't a mismatch when he's guarding Jason Tatum. Is he better? Is he better than Lou Dort? Is he better than Alex Caruso? Which one of these defenders is he better than? I want to know. Is he better than Chet? Is he better than J-Dub? Who is he a better defender than?
First of all, I think that offense and defense are linked, which means that if you're going to overexert yourself on offense, I'm going to have to expect that it's going to impact your defense. It always does. Let's not be crazy here, okay? Anyone who has played basketball and has been chasing a dude around screens and guarding the toughest matchup, you know it's going to impact your legs. You can roll your eyes all you want, but it's true. There's a reason why teams tend to not put their best player on the other team's best player, and why we don't get those matchups that we've always wanted to see. Okay, I want to talk about the numbers because you know what, with defense it always comes down to the eye test. Someone be like, no, Jokic has great hands and so he's a great defender. Luka makes an effort, so he's a great defender. But let's talk about the numbers. Hang on one second. He's a better defender than, I would say, 96% of the league. Okay.
On his team, who is he a better defender than?
Why is that the criteria, though?
No.
That was the conversation.
Okay.
It's a stupid freaking conversation. You're
the one having it. You're the one having it.
Defends in isolation so much.
That's what having this conversation.
No, because why SGA defends in isolation more than anyone on the roster.
Let me tell you something.
He is by most accounts the worst isolation defender on the team. So that's why he's being compared to his teammates and not the league. That's how this started. So that's why the question Ox asked is relevant. Who is SGA better than defensively on the perimeter on his team? That's how this conversation came about.
Why?
So yes, he's better than 95% of the league. That can be true, but that's not what the conversation was.
And that's not true.
And even on top of that, the other defenders on his team is in that top 5 for 3%.
First of all, isolating individual defense in a team concept is crazy to me, especially when those other defenders are so good. I don't know.
Oklahoma City is as good as they are as a defense.
Is he not a better defender than Isaiah Joe?
Yeah, but in order to have a great team defense, you have to be able to stay in front of your man. You have to be able to play good defense on who you're guarding in order for you to have an elite defense the way they 100%. Do. Now, mind you, you can have a good defense if your individual defense is a little subpar, but your team defense is immaculate. But in order to have a defense at this level, everybody has to be able to do their job, guard their man, and if you get beat, rotate and scramble and cause that controlled chaos. So you're not going to tell me that this is all just predicated on team defense. And yes,
it is predicated on.
It is, but your ability to guard your man is a prerequisite.
Oh, it's a part of it. 100%
to have a defense at this level.
Yes, 100%.
When you won't let Swiper get off his take because you're upset about the fact that he's saying that most teams would attack him because he's the lesser of the perimeter defenders, that's why it's relevant for me to ask you, okay, Penn, who is he better than on the defense?
Hang on. Let me answer your question, Ox.
You wasn't trying to answer the question. You said it was a stupid fucking question. Didn't you just say that?
I think the way this question is being posed is pretty stupid, but let me actually answer it.
Go ahead, okay. Cook.
So please, we have talked a lot about analytics and numbers on this show, and a lot of people seem to really value EPM. Okay, estimated plus minus by dunks and threes. Okay, here are the top defenders, the top 8 defenders in the league according to defensive EPM. Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Ivica Zubac, Joel Embiid, Amen Thompson, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And oh, by the way, after that is Asar Thompson, Evan Mobley, Jalen Williams, Bam Adebayo, Jonathan Isaac, Kaysen Wallace, Chris Dunn, Dyson Daniels, Andrew Nembhard. Just in case you think the status
Lou Dort ain't up there. Damn.
Lou Dort ain't up there.
Let me correct. Mars, I got it.
Yo, hold up. Let him finish his point, though. Let him finish his point. Hold on. Let him finish his point. Let him finish his point.
Everybody be quiet.
Swiper knows that I'm
let him finish his point.
Swiper knows that
I'm gonna let you go. Just let him finish his point.
I'm about to destroy.
What are you doing? Dog, and he read the wrong one. That wasn't even actual.
That's the expected one. That's the predictive one. The actual one.
That's what I'm saying. So this is what I'm saying. This is Penn being so emotional. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm trying to help him, and he still want to get off his neck.
You don't need no help.
Now you can drop me. Go to actual and read it. That's what I'm just helping you with your dumb argument. Go ahead.
Morris, he don't need no context, Morris. No context.
But I was trying. I'm not even trying to argue with Penn. I'm just clarifying. He read the predictive stat. That's why Joel Embiid's name was on the list. The actual EPM stat, which isn't predicting going forward, is based on the season thus far, what's unfolded. Alex Caruso at 1, Asar Thompson at 2, Isaiah Hartenstein at 3, Chris Dunn at 4, Zubac at 5, Chet Holmgren at 6, Wemby at 7, Amen Thompson at 8, J-Dub at 9, Andrew Nembhard at 10, tied with SGA at 11. That's like the top 11. And you got Jeremy Sohan, Goga Bitadze, Nicholas Batum, Jaren Jackson, Jason Wallace.
Did you say Lou Dort, Morris?
Lou Dort ranks very low in EPM.
I apologize. So the expected was 98th percentile, and the actual is 97th percentile. Point is, he is a great defender.
But Morris, does that mean that SGA is a better defender than Lou Dort?
According to EPM, yes, he's the more impactful defender.
Okay, you agree with that?
A large part,
yes,
because
I
of
do.
defensive playmaking and isolation defense is usually valued.
Okay, hang on. But I don't want to use a catch-all metric to measure all of it. So I do want to say that while defense is difficult to track because it is a team concept. Hang on. Cool. Okay. He is 87th percentile in terms of deflections. That is very good. Okay. He is 58th percentile in terms of rim defense, which is good for a guard. He is 74th percentile in terms of rim frequency, 82nd. You want the formula for deflection?
How do you measure just watching the dude, Ox? How do you
want the formula for
deflection?
deflection?
How many times have we seen somebody go to the penitentiary because somebody said that they saw him when they saw something wrong?
That's so irrelevant to basketball.
No, it's not. Because that's what you're measuring it off, Ox. You're measuring it off the eye test.
Chill. He just said that Lou Dort's a better defender than SGA, and you want to stay here and hype up these bullshit numbers?
Come on,
Get the fuck out of here. I want an answer. How do you measure rim defense? How Penn just said it. I don't care if you want to hype this shit up.
It's the field goal percentage. Stop. Ox, you have received the answer to this question 5 times, and I guarantee you're going to receive it 5 more times because you refuse to accept the information that is going to come to your way right now.
Hey, Penn, what I think you should do, Penn, is you should calm down that condescension because you need to know what stat you were reading from, but you want to tell everybody else how to understand analytics in basketball. That's my issue with it.
No.
You can continue. Apparently, he's explained it to you 5 times, but you're too slow to get it, and you're not listening to it. So let him say it again so you can get it. That's apparently what's happening right now. Go ahead, Phil.
I didn't say too slow. I didn't say too slow. Don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say too slow. He doesn't want to hear it. How many times have you asked the question, how do you measure rim defense?
Okay.
For real.
What's the formula?
It is expected. What is the expected efficiency at the rim versus how well do you perform at the rim when that player is there? That's rim defense in a nutshell.
Do you not see the flaw in using that as a measure of who's better than worse?
Of course. I see that. Okay. I see if you use that alone and say this guy's great or this guy's bad, I think there's a flaw because defense is played as a team.
There are so many factors that go into that are not in these.
I agree with you. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay,
and I have never sat here and tried to cap for defensive analytics.
Let's do that. Right. Let's take the glasses off. Let's take the tie off. Let's take the professor's
because I'm tired of
in the math, quote unquote, basketball. Sit down and watch SGA. Sit down and watch SGA as a defender. Sit down and watch SGA when he gets around screens. Sit down and watch SGA when he's got a guy in front of him. When he's got a guy in front of him,
you watch him,
his hands are
you think
busy.
he's a better
Sit down
defender
and watch
than
GA.
Jason Wallace,
Sit down and watch SGA shoot gaps. How that affects defenses. How that affects his defenses. Sit down and watch SGA when he's rotating off the weak side and how that affects their defense.
Sit down and watch Alex Caruso.
Let's do that.
Sit down and watch Lou Dort.
I'm
Sit down and watch Jason Wallace. And then tell me that he's better than him at doing that.
I am watching Lou Dort. I am watching Alex Caruso as an on-ball defender. Is Alex Caruso as good a rotation defender as SGA? Is he good at shooting gaps?
Yes, he's
like
better.
SGA?
Yes, he's better.
I'm not going to argue
Caruso
the on-ball
defense.
defense.
Best wing
I'm not going to argue
in
that.
the league.
I will not argue
he
that.
Might be.
Because I think Alex Caruso is the best on-ball defender, with the exception of Drew Holiday. I think he's the best on-ball defender in the game. I don't think that there's a better on-ball defender in the game than Alex Caruso. However, when SGA is on the floor as a defender, because again, Ox, what we're doing in your estimation is we're taking the basketball off the table. I'm sitting down and I'm going to watch SGA. I'm going to watch him get around screens. I'm going to watch when his man has the ball. I'm going to watch him close out. I'm going to watch him rotate on defense. I'm going to watch what assignments he has.
Nobody doesn't do that well. Chill. Nobody. I never.
I don't think he gets around.
Okay, well, Morris. Okay,
I don't think he's a defensive stopper, but proceed.
What does a defensive stopper mean to you, Ron? Because I can get stops. I can do that.
Being able to get stopped doesn't make you a stopper. Being able to make shots doesn't make you a stopper.
Is he versatile as a defender?
For the sake of argument, Phil.
Okay, now I'm not gonna lie. Now we're at the point
where is he better at doing these things than Lou Dort, Alex Caruso?
I know I'm right about what happened. We came up here. Shai scored 50-something points last night, and we up here talking about what Shai don't do. Swipe out, job well done. Y'all did this.
This is exactly it.
Matter of fact, what we need to be talking about is why Shai is the most valuable player in the league. What we need to be talking about is how he's been that, and what we need to be talking about is how he's been there for a couple of years, because y'all tried to give that credit to Chet last year, even though y'all were too busy not informing the audience that they probably didn't even have a starting level center on the team the year prior, and they still were like a 500 team, and that was because of Shai. They were elite last year because of Shai, and now when y'all tried to give all that credit to Chet, he's still winning all the games, and Chet ain't been playing because
Hartenstein ain't playing either.
We should not be talking about, wow, Shai is the worst defender of the five and all this. Man, the man scored 50-some points here, the MVP. Yep. Is the player choice right now? Go ahead.
Just for context, since I've sat back for 15 minutes.
Did that hurt your feelings?
I think that you should probably zap it sometimes and not talk as much. What I would say, especially given that if you're going to say everything I say is through the prism of no, I don't want to keep this energy for anyone. What I would like to do is do my job, is to talk through all of the games and all of the sports. I was giving credit to SGA before we even got on this about his scoring skills, mid-range shooting, where he's going to be in the next few years in the conversation. And then it shifted when you said that he's better than JB as a defender. And I said, well, I just don't think, first off, the sample size isn't big enough. Number two, I think there's a reason why he's attacked more.
3 years?
And there's a reason why, and there's a reason why he's attacked more than anybody else in his rotation, and has nothing to do with a deficit. That if I'm going to choose between 5 options, he's going to be the one that I choose for several different reasons. And then it became this glaring issue because you started yapping about Jokic and best player in the world propaganda, and then Real Talk, who thinks Giannis is the best player in the world, is pushing MVP propaganda because it's really about anti-Jokic, because y'all don't know Real Talk at all. I've had this conversation with him for 2 years. Real Talk, I've had this conversation with you in Spaces for 2 years. No, he's not. Absolutely not. No, stop. Real Talk. Don't make me expose you, Real Talk. Don't make me expose you. I've known you for years.
Oh no.
And then just a sidebite. Just a sidebite. This was never going to be a discussion until people started saying things I didn't even say. And because you all, again, some people have issues listening. Penn has issues listening because he said he's listening to 1% of his brain, because that's all he needs to listen to me is 1% of his brain. He then distorted the conversation because he wasn't listening, self-admittedly. And then the chat thing got infected by his distortion. And then that was hearing, well, when you say attack, well, then you mean that he's somebody that can be attacked like Steph, Luka, Jokic. That's not what I said. I said as an offensive engine, it makes more sense to try to tire them out. And on top of that, why would I go out Alex Caruso, Lou Dort, Casey Wallace, and J-Dub when they are better defenders than him? And on top of that, Chet, Isaiah. This is where Mars came from with that. I said he was the point we need to talk about.
Everything else is irrelevant.
That was it. But that was the context. But that was the context
for the other guys before.
And then everybody started blabbering, and then Penn read from a sheet that he doesn't himself understand as a talking point, and then I had to come and clarify it off mic because he was using expected instead of using the tab over as actual. And I tried to help him, and then he started yelling at me because he was emotional about this SGA prop that he's putting up. I agree with you. SGA is going to be deserving of whatever award he wins this year. I just don't think he's making an all-defense team over at least 2 players or 3 players on his roster.
I was off by 1.
That's it.
Yes, Chill.
That's it.
Hey, Chill has the mic now. What's up, Chill?
Ron, as I was saying, I think last night was a trap game. I thought that they could just walk right by Utah. Utah has not been very good this season, and it turned into a dogfight, and Shai took the game over. At the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, Shai ended up taking the game over and brought them to the win. And he was fantastic last night. I actually texted you that he had 35 with like 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And I said he's going to have 40 plus. I did not think that he would get to almost 55. I didn't think that. But he did do that. They didn't have any answer for him in the fourth quarter. They didn't have anybody to slow him down. I feel like Utah's offense got slowed down by their defense, and that was largely due to Lue Dort slowing down Lauri Markkanen, and SGA took over offensively, and he was fantastic. He was great. And to say that he's not in the league MVP conversation or it's Joker, I think that's disingenuous considering what SGA is doing this season. I don't think that I've heard that. But what I'm saying is what SGA has done this season and how much he has affected winning. That doesn't mean that he's the better player. How much he has affected winning this season. I think he's the league MVP.
How are you measuring that?
How I'm measuring that
just by wins and losses, right?
Not just by wins and losses. I'm measuring that.
He had a 6'6" guy starting at center. How's that?
I don't know what that means.
What I'm measuring.
I mean, they played without a center and actually competed in basketball games. The fact that they are playing without what? Look,
I still understand what that means, though.
Okay. Well, what
Shai's on the floor, the Thunder always have a chance, and in fact, they probably are more than.
Well, there's multiple players we can make that argument with. Mars.
Yeah, but that's why 100% you can.
And of course. But notice what just happened there, Swiper, because this is a free intervention just for you. We talk about Shai, you say, but look at other people. There's multiple
that's
people
not what
happened.
I opened the conversation about his scoring last night.
A lineup as bad as Brandon Carlson.
Hey,
come on.
How many can?
Yes. How many players can carry some lineups as bad as some of those OKC lineups have been?
Well, hold on. But who was out there with Brandon Carlson when they started?
Yo, are you going to sit up here and cap for Brandon Carlson and Jalen Williams as some like?
I am. Brandon Carlson was making some threes.
Yes, he was.
I'm trying. Who else is starting with? What was the starting lineup last night? Just for context.
It was
Jalen Williams, J-Dub, J-Will,
SGA,
Lue Dort, Aaron Wiggins.
That was their 5.
So Aaron Wiggins?
Yeah, that was their 5.
Aaron Wiggins is
Jalen Williams.
When I say SGA to your point, Viper, to answer your question, when I say SGA affects winning, I feel like he does it. I feel like he does it in a multitude of ways. So when they have scoring lapses, SGA will give you a bucket. When they have defensive lapses, SGA will come up with a big steal or a big rebound.
Lapses in OKC.
I mean, they had that. They're not perfect. They have time.
They're not perfect.
They're not.
I know, but damn,
they have time.
They're close to it.
He'll make a play. I've seen SGA dive out of bounds for a loose ball to keep.
Oh man, effort plays.
To keep the offense alive.
See, now you're discrediting.
No, I'm joking now because we're calming down back now. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe. I'll go back to yours again. I apologize.
What I'm saying is when I think about SGA and I think about winning. And I think about how much other guys affect winning. And that doesn't mean that Joker isn't affecting winning. That doesn't mean Giannis isn't affecting winning, because I feel like these guys are affecting winning on a high level. But I think that what SGA is doing on that crew, how much he is affecting winning, I think that he is the league MVP of this season.
Sure. We have 40 games left, but I think he can be number 1 or 2 on anybody's board.
Let me give you a free lesson about toxic people and toxic situations. You need to pay attention to what people say after but. Everything
you literally said you weren't paying attention to what I was saying.
I paid attention to what you just said right now.
But you said earlier
everything's about the butt.
No, Penn, you just said
good.
You just said you listened to me with 1% of your brain, and it led to a 20-minute conversation.
Cool.
You're self-admitting. You're turning your brain off.
We have to do that, though.
What percentage
I'm just chill. The difference between Penn is he's choosing to turn his brain off. I'm just less intelligent than Penn. Therefore, I can't understand everything as well as Penn. Go ahead, chill. Go ahead.
First and foremost, let's be clear about one thing. The 6 of us being up here, we are not up here. You know what? You're right, Swiper. You know what? You're right, Penn. No, my job is to challenge theories.
But that doesn't mean we argue like the blatantly obvious just for the sake of arguing.
No, we don't have to do that, Mars. But we are on a debate show, and that's what we do around here.
Look,
and there are things that I say that you don't agree with.
We
there are
all
things that
have
Swiper
biases
that I don't agree with. There's things that Swiper says that I don't agree with. That's part of it. However, what I don't want to do is I don't want to take away from like what Real Talk talked about, how good SGA has been this season and leading up to this. I don't want to discount that. This guy has been fantastic. Just so you know, I mentioned this stat to you that he's 30 plus, 5, 2 steals in a block. Just so you know, that 31.5 a game, that's good enough for number 1 in the league this year. He's leading the league in scoring.
32.
Right? So he's leading the league in scoring right now.
32.
So he's up to,
he just dropped 54.
So he's leading the league in scoring. And on top of that, the 2 steals. I've said this to you, Mars, countless times. The fact that we've had guys who are less than defenders, we take away from guys who are steals leaders.
You think steals are an important defensive stat?
I think that there are people who discount that because we've had guys who are less than defenders. Well, you don't defend. That doesn't mean that you're a defender because you're a steals leader. That's not true. Alvin Robinson played defense.
Would you say steals and deflections together?
Alvin Robinson didn't play defense because he got a lot of steals. He played great defense and got a lot of steals.
Sure.
Right.
SGA plays great defense and gets a lot of steals.
Absolutely.
But the guy who's also averaging 2 steals a game in Tyrese Maxey is not a good defender. So like steals don't tell you who a good defender is, but some good defenders get a lot of steals. That's why the stat doesn't tell you who's good at what. But SGA is good and is also getting steals, so that's
I think that's what needs to be recognized. I don't think that we need to. But here's the thing, though, Mars. I think that we lump guys in with all of these guys. To your point, when you talked about Tyrese Halliburton being one of the steals leaders, well, I'm going to lump Tyrese Halliburton in as being one of the steal leaders with SGA. Well, wait a minute. SGA defends. SGA is not a guy who doesn't defend, right? James Harden led the league in steals. Well,
he defended.
Wait a minute. And Donovan Mitchell or last year, I think SGA led the league in steals, and Donovan Mitchell was right behind him. Donovan Mitchell defends. Donovan Mitchell plays defense in addition to being a damn good defender in the passing lane and on the weak side of the ball. He does do that. So the fact that SGA is doing this at a high level, I'm not going to say averaging. Let me rephrase that. On top of leading the league in scoring and getting on the glass and affecting his team defensively, I think that's a big deal for SGA, and I think he affects winning more than any other player in the league right now, and I think he's the league MVP.
If you, my question, and this is like, I want to, first of all, I apologize to Real Talk for disagreeing with him about how we were going on a tangent away from how great Shai is. I thought we was just having a conversation that was
looks like we back relevant. Now.
And then it got derailed. So turns out Real Talk was right. So my bad. I didn't think it was gonna go as left as it did.
Yeah, MP13. I still think people have.
I think SGA has been great, and I think by like typical MVP standards, I do think he should be the MVP, like just how the MVP has typically worked. But my question is, like, if you're the most impactful towards winning in the league, how are you not the best player in the league? Because if the aim of the game is to win, and you are the most impactful towards that objective, how are you not the best?
Let me tell you how you're not. Wait a minute. I'm gonna answer Mars' question.
He believes he is.
Right. And the reason why, I say that, to answer your question, there's people who will see a player. This doesn't look as good as this player. This guy doesn't handle the basketball like this player. This guy doesn't shoot it like this player. This guy scores it better than him. Even though my impact on winning, whether I'm leading the league in scoring, whether I'm a great rebounder, it might not look good because Mars, you are a testament to the eye test. And a lot of these people,
eye test isn't how it looks. Like if it looks good, so it's just.
Oh, but there's plenty of people who feel like that because
I feel like you're doing the thing.
I identify with the eye test, but not how people use the eye test. People use the eye test to just say the guy with the more aesthetically pleasing game is better. That's not what eye test is. It's just watching the game and forming your opinion by watching the games. That's my question. Do you feel like
SGA has been the best player in basketball?
I'm asking
yes.
to chill for your opinion. You.
I feel like he's for me specifically. I think he's been playing the. I feel like he's been playing the best. I feel like he's the best, but he's. I feel like he's been playing the best as of right now.
To why he's not the best.
Not just that. It's not just that. I just when I think about the best players, I think about to your point, guys doing it long enough, and I also think about skill set. And when I watch Joker, who also did the same thing as SGA, but in addition to him doing it,
did the same thing.
The multitude of things that he's done, rebounding, scoring the basketball, affecting winning, like SGA has, and overall performance in terms of his game, I think he's a better player than SGA.
But he's not as impactful this season.
Not this season. Not this season.
So Jokic has become less impactful, or SGA's become more impactful than
I think SGA has become more impactful. I think SGA has become more impactful this season. I don't think Joker is any less impactful this season than he was 2 years ago. Even though I think he's a better player today than he was in 2022 or in 2021. I just think that what SGA has done over the course of the last 3 years and now today, putting it all together, both on the offensive and defensive end of the floor, he's just become so much more impactful than anybody else in the league. Not more. I don't think it's a huge gap because I think the gap is close. Okay. I do think that the gap is. I do think that there's those three guys are close, but I feel like what he's done, how much he's affected winning, I would have to say he's playing the best.
Real quick, how are you determining impact though? Like what metrics are you using to determine who's the most impactful player or who leads to winning the best? Who impacts winning the best?
One, I look at your personnel, and I look at how you affect your personnel, how much better you play with better players, how you play with lesser players, how you win with better players, how you win with lesser players, how you lose with better players. And when I think about what SGA is doing, where to Penn's point, he's got a 6'6" dude playing the 5 because his best. That's not true because Hartenstein was out.
When you include the other stretch earlier,
yeah, Hartenstein was out of the lineup. Hartenstein was out of the lineup for a long time.
Who started at center after Chet went down?
J-Dub.
Came back and he was in the lineup. He was in the lineup.
They had Aaron Wiggins playing center. They had Brandon Carlson playing center. I mean, frankly, you're not supposed to be able to survive with that unit, but they were
9 games this season without.
And that's a credit also to Shai being able to switch down to 4s occasionally. Right. So you just don't have a lot of guards who can do this stuff. I think it's valuable. I do think that it's worth noting that technically right now, per the numbers, Jokic is still the better player. Value of replacement favors Jokic. Box plus minus favors Jokic. EPM, everything favors Jokic. However, the gap is so narrow in terms of win shares per 48. The two things that edge me towards Shai. Let me give you the two things that edge me towards Shai. Number one, the OKC Thunder are 9 games ahead of the Denver Nuggets, and that matters to me. Okay, it's difficult to adapt to new lineups that haven't played a lot of minutes together. And I do think that it's worth noting that Shai has done a great job of adapting to these new lineups. I think it's also worth giving Jokic his flowers for, how well he's performed with the lack of depth that the Denver Nuggets have had, the early struggles, etc. But that's the one thing that favors me. The number 2 is availability. Jokic has been relatively healthy with 37 games played, but Shai's played 42. And that
Jokic has only missed 1 game with injury this year.
Cool. Yeah, but he's missed games. When it comes
he said,
if you're not there to play, you're not providing impact.
Yeah, sure. Just missed games total. I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's it. So it's that simple. And there is a voter fatigue. There is some uncomfortability. Some people are uncomfortable making Jokic a 4-time MVP because they feel like that's going to put him in conversations. Okay. Well, here's the thing. You want to? I think that last year I thought Jokic was clearly the best player in the league. I thought it was. I thought it was really a big gap. This year, I think Shai has closed that gap. I think they both having a better season. So in a weird way, you're taking a three-time MVP like Nikola Jokic, and you're basically saying we're not going to reward your best season ever as an MVP. So I understand the frustration from Denver Nuggets fans saying, why are we being penalized for past success? What I'm trying to say though is Shai has closed that gap to the point where we can finally have a conversation about who's the best basketball player in the world. So and I think that is very worth talking about.
So Shai's done that, but Giannis hasn't?
Giannis.
Whoa, Ron. No, Ron, we're not doing that because we did that earlier this year. We did that earlier this year. We did.
Well,
and the gap
in case we need to do it, it's a new year. It's a new year. So in case we need to do it in 2025, in case we need to do it in 2025, I'm not bad mouthing Shai. I'm talking Giannis up. In case we need to do this in 2025, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay, let's pump our brakes. Let's slow down. Let's not get overwhelmed with the 54 that he just scored last night and the fact that he's on a monster squad. Let's not do that. Hey, center or no center, the boy ain't better than Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I don't think so neither. Right. I'm not going to argue that point. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to let real talk tell me that Chet didn't have a major effect and he was the difference on what they were doing last year. He was one of the major reasons offensively why they were doing what they were doing last year.
No. Let me clarify what I'm saying about last year. So the year prior to Chet coming back, right, the rookie year where he sat out, OKC played practically an entire year without a starting level center on their roster on their team.
Sure.
Right, and they still win what? I want to say what, 41 and 41?
Yeah.
42. Or 40 and 42 or something like that.
One game under 500.
Right. Chet obviously had major impact on the team, but when you are replacing such a need because that position is so bad for your team, even you just being good is going to qualify like as major impact because you're replacing very bad.
Sure. Yep.
I'm not discrediting Chet. I'm just saying the narrative around that squad last year was like, oh my goodness, they went from 40 wins to 57 or whatever because Chet was on the team. And I'm like, Chet is a part of that, but still the major reason why they win their game.
Who said Chet was the biggest part though? SGA finished second MVP for a reason.
I did. I
was hearing that. Yeah, I was hearing that last year. I was hearing that.
I 100% said that. I think I said something similar to this on my channel yesterday. You're only as valuable as what you're replacing. And I think this is the point Real Talk's making. Chet is deemed more valuable, like when his rookie year, not now because Isaiah Hartenstein's in the lineup. Well, usually he's hurt right now. But because Chet replaced Jalen Williams as a starting center, they were playing Poku, legitimate minutes in 2020 because they had no bigs. So when Chet comes in and replaces legitimate negative big man play, and he's a legitimate positive, one of the best defenders in the league from day one.
Sure.
His value is going to be higher than a lot of people because the replacement for Chet is Jalen Williams and Jeremiah Robinson. Whereas the replacement for Shai is like you have the offense run through J-Dub, or you'll go heavy defense lineups that can still stay above water. That doesn't make Chet better than Shai, obviously. And it doesn't make Chet more impactful than Shai. But it might make him more valuable to OKC's roster, which I think is more debatable than fact, because Shai is still carrying that offense, especially this season. But when we talk about who's the more valuable player, I still think it probably is Shai, just because they were still, like Real Talk said, hovering at water, a 500 team with Shai without a legitimate center. They just needed to be a contender. They needed a legitimate 5. But if you just have Chet but no Shai, they're not contenders because you need what Shai brings on offense and you need what Chet brought as a 5. But I just think Chet was harder to replace because of the roster construction. Now with Hartenstein, you see like Hartenstein's lost like 2 games as a player on the Thunder because all they need is.
And I think we all would agree that like Chet is better than Hartenstein.
Yes, and that doesn't make Chet less. That doesn't make Chet less impactful. But because Hartenstein's now less valuable, because they have something that can replace him.
I gotta step in and grab the wheel because I got super chats we got to get to, but I also want to salute to everybody that's in here watching. We got almost 2,000 people combined on Twitter and combined on YouTube. Shout out to all you guys. Like the video if you haven't liked the video. Let's get the likes all the way up today. Subscribe if you haven't, and also shout out to our members, our Hall of Famers, and specifically we got Tracy Steele, Multi Kenny, and Cobra Son of Raditz. Salute to you guys. Salute to Kenny for coming up on playback last night. We had a good grand old time. We will get to that Rockets versus Cavs game here in a second. I do got some super chats, but before we get there, as you guys know, I have one final question to ask about the MVP. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I need you guys to be quick. Just give me your top 3 MVP candidates right now, based on your criteria, not based on the media, not based on what you think it will be, based on who you would give it to. 1, 2, and 3. Real talk, I'm gonna start with you.
I got Shai, Jokic, Giannis right now.
Pin.
Come back to me.
Ox.
Yeah, I got Shai, Giannis, DeMontis.
Mars.
Jokic, Shai, Giannis.
Okay, chill.
Shai, Joker, Giannis.
Swiper.
Joker, Shai, Giannis.
Okay. Pin.
Shai.
Shai.
It's a one-man race. He's winning it. He's winning it.
One-man race.
All right.
One-man race.
Wait, Ron, you didn't give yours.
If I was forced to pick a number two, a number
three.
three, I would go Jokic, and then the third one I would be split between Giannis and Wemby. Yeah. To be completely honest.
Yeah, well, I got Giannis, Shai, and Cat.
We're still doing this Wemby gig. Like, have y'all not been seeing him the last 2 games?
Yeah, Wemby's offense been slowing down since that 3 ain't been falling. Just saying.
Man,
it was a matter of time.
But all right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get into these super chats.
On 10 threes a game type guy. Who would have thought?
Salute to everybody that sent through a super chat. We're gonna start with the largest super chats. Let's go ahead and make it happen. At the Buzzer Sports.
Shout out Sean D.
Shout out to John D for sure.
He just
this is John D?
Yeah, this is John D,
Oh,
man.
this is at the Buzzer Sports? That's John D?
Good acting.
Well, hold on. No, like, when do At the Buzzer Sports do their thing?
I mean,
every day. Every day.
6 days a week, except Sundays. But on Sundays, you can find him on Mars Talk Sports. So really, you can see John D every day if you just go subscribe.
It's so meta. That's a plug of a plug of a plug. That's amazing. No, At the Buzzer Sports, they just dropped a great video on Scotty Barnes. There you go.
Also,
there's a plug of a plug. That's a plug of a plug.
It was his first 10K video, so go watch that video for sure.
And like that video since you don't want to like this one.
Yeah.
But John D said, "What's good, guys? When are we going to stop being so scared to say OKC's D is one of the greatest of all time? People have been just pushing past it." Dub show.
I'm prepared to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it is, huh?
Yeah, like personnel wise, it's ridiculous. I mean, when Shai can be, in my opinion, your 7th best defender, you're in good shape as a defense. When you have 2 of the best rim protectors in the sport and you haven't even played a game with both of them out there, that's dangerous. When you have arguably the best point of attack defender in the sport, and then you have a guy, and that's me saying Lou Dort. That's not even me bringing up Alex Caruso. Kaysen Wallace, the way they're able to swarm the ball, the way they're able to force turnovers, they dominate the possession battle in a way that I don't think any team ever has. They don't turn the ball over a lot, and they turn teams over a lot. So, yeah, I'm prepared. I'm not going to be like they rank top 5 all time, but this is definitely an all-time great defense in my opinion, and it's the best defense of the 2020s, like easily in my opinion. So
I think it's the best defense of the last 25 years.
Okay, I'm not prepared to go that far. It's the best defense I've seen since the 08 Celtics. I'll say that.
The only contenders are the 08 Celtics, the 04 Pistons, the 96-97 Bulls. Like, these are the conversations. They're very uncomfortable conversations.
The Spurs had some great defenses. So.
They did.
I will say the thing that, like, about this defense that really
incredible.
just blows me out the water is they're really not playing with arguably their best defender.
Mm-hmm.
True.
There's another level they can get to. Which
is it's crazy.
And they're the youngest team in the league. They're also the least experienced team in the league. So when you think about when do players typically peak defensively, it's usually year 5, year 6. That's usually when you figure out the ins and outs of defense, when you got your body together, when you're stronger. Is it possible to think that Chet Holmgren in his prime is going to be a much better defender than he is today? Of course he is. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get better.
It could go the other way though too.
I doubt it.
As guys get injured, they tend to lose a step. So and as they get older, so you never know. You never know.
That's true, but if you look at the all-time great defenders, most of them did not peak before 24. So what I'm saying is you could see a fall off with Shai as starting next year, maybe 26, 27. But guys like Kaysen, I think they're going to get better. And I think what the most impressive thing about the OKC's defense is how many different ways they can defend. It's not just about the impact of their defense. It's how many different ways they can shut you down. And when they clamp up, you can't breathe. Like when they tighten those screws, you got elite ball handlers choosing to not bring the basketball up the court. They disrupt everything you do. They flip it all. And I think that's a credit to their coaching, to their development, to their GM, to their personnel, to their leadership, to their, to their defenders. And it's just a consistent buy-in. Every dude who comes onto the court defends. Whether they're a great defender, not a great defender, they defend. That's their culture. It's really it's gonna be interesting and it's gonna be super interesting to watch this in the playoffs. And I want to see if they can get a couple shutouts. If they can get a couple of those 12-point quarters.
Give me the kid, Mars. Give me the kid, Mars, and give me a first-round pick. Hand them over, Mars. Give me the kid, Mars.
Still trying to get Cam Johnson for the
Mars. Give me the kid, Mars, and give me a 1. You got 12 of them. Give me the kid, Mars.
Chill. I'm demanding 2 for you. Got a million of them,
Mars. Give me the
I'll
kid.
give up picks. I ain't giving up 2 picks when I don't have to.
Mars, give me the kid, Mars. Stop playing. You got 15 1. You got 13 ones, Mars. Give me the kid in a 1, and we got a deal.
Ron, can I ask? Ron, can I ask? I want to ask Penn this question real quick. Penn, why does Wemby have a better MVP case than Cade?
Oh my God, we're having a Cade convo again.
Nah, let's do it.
Lord.
I just want to know. I just want to know.
He's a better defender. First of all,
He is a better defender.
He is a significantly better defender. He might be one of the best defenders in the league. I think that alone elevates him so far above, because I do think Cade has been more efficient offensively, and I've been very impressed with what Cade's doing. The MVP talks need to chill though. They really do. Okay. They really do. He's not a top 25 player in the league. What he's done so far has been impressive, but there are multiple teams with like 2-3 players better than him. So I'm sorry. It's not that.
Name the teams with 2-3 players.
OKC. I'll take J-Dub over him, Shai over him, Chet over him.
No.
Cool. That's fine.
No.
We don't have to. We don't have to agree.
100% no. 100% no.
I'll take
This is
not
even
90%.
That's the third time you said 100% and been dead ass wrong.
What did I say 100% about today? Go ahead. Bring it up, Penn. Yeah, you don't remember. So, Penn, this is you just talking again. Penn, turn your brain back on so you can try.
Wait till you get to
turn your. This is the thing. You putting this poll up. Penn versus Swiper is not a rivalry. This is Penn trying to get staying power off my back. Get off my back. Come up with your own argument, and then we can move on. I don't know what the 100% was. I said 100%. He's not the best defender on this roster. I'm on the POA defenders, and he's not. He's not better than Dort. He's not better than Caruso and Dub. That doesn't make him a bad defender. That's exactly what I said. And now we can move back on to what we need to do. J-Dub has not been better than Cade Cunningham. This loser was wrong about Cade Cunningham last year. He's been wrong about Cade Cunningham this year. Matter of fact, I'll take over Mars. I'll take Cade Cunningham over Scotty Barnes right now this season, and we can keep it moving since we're doing all this. Since we're doing all this, he want to have takes about his Raptors players as much as he wants. And Cade, the 13th best player in his draft, according to Vortman over there, now is going to be an all-star game. And damn near could be a starter this year. Stop yapping. Go ahead. Read the next super chat, Rob.
You keep bringing that bullshit up. You brought that up every single time because you might actually be a little bit slow, because I've told you 3 times that's not what I said, but you still keep saying it. I said he was 13th in value of replacement. I didn't say he was.
You got to repeat it 5 times for Ox, and I'm slow.
You said Trey Murphy. I remember.
Bro.
But
yes, I did.
I said and J-Dub, or just one of them?
You said what?
You taking Cade over J-Dub and Chet, or just one of them?
No, just J-Dub.
Okay. So so he does have 2 players better than Cade by your estimation.
Hey, Swiper, Cade or Paulo?
Paulo.
Okay.
Franz or Cade?
Super chat.
So my point is, there's at least a few teams in the East that have 2 players, Jaylen Brown or Cade.
Yo,
Cade.
That I could live with for sure. But
we'll get to Cade here in a second, because he had a hell of a game last night, so we got to talk about that. But I still got a couple more $20 super chats that we got to read. Swiper alluded to this poll, so I'm gonna read this super chat next from Jay Got Game. He said, "Do a poll, Ron. Top rivalries in PC history. We got some good ones, y'all. Dub versus Fluid. Hey, y'all just had to be there. That was a historical. That rivalry lasted the longest, and it was a rivalry from day one. And that was a rivalry from day one to the day that they both stopped being on the show.
Yo, that clears, man.
Clears, low key, but I don't got it, but it clears. Swiper versus pin. You guys are watching this in the flesh right here live. Whether you guys like it or not. Let me put you two buddies next to each other.
Salty.
Look at this. Look at this. You gotta love it. You could just feel the energy, the hostility right now.
There's no versus with me or any human being. I hope the best for Penn's life. I really do. It just needs to stop getting staying power off my name. That's it. Now we can move on.
Staying power. Why do you assume that you think I think about you a lot more than I actually do?
Can I finish reading the super chat, or do you guys
go ahead?
All right. And then we got Swiper versus Pin. And then we got Low versus Ticket. And then we got Mars versus Ticket. Grab a cup of tea, boy.
That wasn't.
Hey, grab a cup of tea, boy.
That was all right. That
one was cool. And then we got Low versus Pin. Ben?
That was fun.
I mean,
that was a short-lived rivalry.
It dragged out a little bit.
It was just one of them playoff series where they was like
it lasted like a week, and rumor has it that it was a sweep in that playoff series. Chill, we can't hear you, so I don't know who you're cooking, but we can't hear you. You're muted. So there you go.
I mean, you might as well just put Penn versus professional yappers.
And then we got Dub versus Mars.
That
good old open gym rivalry.
That wasn't a rivalry. Like,
it wasn't a rivalry, but it was a feud.
Yeah,
it wasn't a rivalry.
I love how Dub would really get. And Mars is not just for those of y'all who don't know. I've seen Mars in real life. Mars is the complete opposite of violence. But there's plenty of times when I saw Mars talking to Dub and thinking if he was standing in front of Dub right now, he'd choke the shit out of Dub. He would 100% choke Dub out. I swear he would.
It wasn't.
Mars is the same, man. It was so funny. Like, Mars, what a fucking ring his neck.
And then next up, we got Ron versus Common Sense. Who's Common been on the show?
One plus
wait,
one
chill,
equals what?
Chill. We ain't got a rivalry, chill.
One more time.
We ain't got a rivalry, chill. We're just two besties arguing.
Not yet. It hasn't been going on long enough.
Two BFFs.
Yeah,
I've known you longer than I've known Penn, but that's they call that a rivalry.
But let's get back to Ron. Ron, 1 + 1 equals what?
Sometimes 1 + 1 equals.
No, it doesn't. There's no sometime, Ron. 1 + 1 equals 2. That's it. Ron.
How Penn said it could be 11.
It could be.
Here we go.
It could be. Let's not lie. It could be.
This depends how you look at it, sure.
Thank you.
I look 1, not 10. 1 + 1.
That looks like an 11 to me. That looks like an 11 to me when you just did that.
That looks like a V to me. That's V.
Troll alert.
1 + 1 equals V. Nice.
All right, and then you got Ox versus Stats. Ox, you have a problem with math?
I don't have a problem with stats. I have a problem with basketball. It's Ox versus basketball.
Ox for real.
It's basketball. Stats are fine. Stats are fine. But when you just use numbers, you know what? I don't got time for it. I don't got the energy for it. It really pisses me off. It's like the free throw. It's like the 3-point line, right? There are certain things that were implemented in the basketball to save a certain demographic. You know what I'm saying?
No,
that's a fact.
The 3-point line was invented to save a certain demographic so that they could stay relevant.
Who's that demographic?
Thank you for saving my people. I appreciate it.
Relax, Swiper. There was a certain demographic that needed the 3-point line to be able to be competitive in basketball.
That's your demographic.
And then, hold on, Swiper.
Serbians can shoot.
Basketball was invented to keep a certain demographic involved in barbershop talk.
Well, to be fair, analytics were 100% created by that demographic to keep staying power in the front offices, but that's a whole different conversation.
I'm just saying. We know what's going on. On top of that, they're trying to gentrifying the NBA right in front of our eyes. You know what I'm saying?
So are you under the impression that analytics were just created for that? Or do you think that they have actually helped teams be more efficient, help teams design better defenses, help teams put players in better positions? Or you think it's all just a figment of racist stereotypes and trying to get a whole bunch of nerds who never play basketball? I mean, I don't know why your hand is up. You never wait for anyone to stop speaking to get your point off anyway. So I don't know why you got your hand up. It's not. This is not grade 2. Swipe it. Just talk.
Just keep going, Pin. Just keep going, Pin.
His hand is up.
As everyone knows, this is an area of legitimate expertise for me. So they 100% were created and that are in useful ways. They are absolutely beneficial for communities in many useful ways, and especially in the NBA. But what I have talked about publicly many different times, the access to that education and understanding those numbers and the math associated with those numbers is absolutely gridlocked. Same saying as many students in legacy schools, your Harvards, your Yales, your Penns, your all those schools, they have access to certain types of math. Penn State, Penn U, all those schools.
Trying to instigate.
They have access to certain job types that are very limited for people that do not exist within the framework, particularly the white demographic. So in this instance, in the NBA, 100%, the first people to have access to analytics and the study of that discourse in front offices were white people. Now, a part of my job has been equipping other Black content creators with the power, the tools, and the understanding to have analytics at their disposal and to use them for their benefit the same way the white community has 100%. Now, this is not a matter of intelligence, of measuring intelligence, as we always know in the last several hundred years in this country, in America in particular, there's always been an intelligence that's existed among African Americans and non-white groups. The issue is the access to information and opportunity to utilize that intelligence in the same way. And then in the NBA, this absolutely has become something that is a barometer to getting into the front office. And you know this, not you, Penn, but you know this to be true because when Rich Paul and Mav Carter and them started taking over the agency, the NBA 3 years ago put a policy in place that made it to where you had to have a college degree and other certain criteria to become an NBA agent because they wanted to put a gridlock on the agencies that had access to the players, which means you had access to the wealth. So then the NBA was called out for that racist practice. They had to take that away and then open the floodgates back up to anybody who sought to be an agent in total. Very similarly in the NFL, if the NFL had one of those kind of things up, Lamar Jackson's mother would not be his agent. There'd be a lot of people that would not have access to being an agent if they had those kind of stipulations put in place. So 100% that there is an access issue. I think analytics is important. I use analytics all the time, but I have been through school at the grad school level. I have access to those analytics and numbers in ways many people that are a part of my community do not have. And a part of my job is to open up the door to help them have the same level of understanding, because there are a lot of people that look just like me that are even better at this than I am. And they should absolutely be in the seat that I'm in right now. So that's a part of the job. That's not to say that Penn or anybody else shouldn't benefit from that, but there absolutely is a disparity at the front office and ownership level because of how race and space has designed math and other different kind of educational difficulties like that.
Can I get an amen?
And that's why Jokic can't win the MVP this year.
Facts.
Oh shit! I just want to be clear. I don't have a problem with analytics. I have a problem with basketball. My bad. Go ahead, Richard.
And there's
all I heard was that Swiper using the man knowledge that was given to him
against him.
Got to use your eyes, brother. Use your eyes.
The
man
did not give me my education. Shout out to him though.
They gave you the analytics.
And there's one more rivalry on here that I have to acknowledge. Mars, remember when I said Dub and Fluent Clear, but I don't got him as the top one? The reason why I don't is because when Chill sees the youth or the chat, it's on site. So, I got Chill versus Chat as the top rivalry in PC history, but these other ones are all amazing. Chill, is there anything you would like to say to the chat? Would you like to just tell them?
In the words of Bernie Mac, them kids. In the words of Bernie Mac, them kids.
Welcome.
All right, salute to everybody in the chat. Make sure you like the video, and you heard what Chill said. Macho Man 124 said, who do you guys think has the best scoring peak all time?
Bean. Gotta be Bean, right?
I think 2016 regular season Steph is the best regular season scoring season ever. Overall scoring season is probably like 89 MJ, 90 MJ, 91 MJ.
I might have 88. I don't.
You any of like those like 3-4 years, you probably go with them. But regular season, I got Steph. Overall season, in terms of regular season and postseason, I'll probably go with like 89 or 90.
What was the direct question?
Best scoring peak of all time.
Peak. Oof.
Yes.
Yeah, I said Bean, but it's got to be Jordan.
Chamberlain had a stretch in the 61-62 season where the last like 10 games of the season, he was averaging close to 70 a game.
Okay, well, I'm not going to lie to you, Chill. You're going to be the only one in the woke tier when it comes to that stuff.
He averaged 50.
I'm factoring in that the team played 130 possessions. It's just not. It doesn't.
He had 45 50-point games in a season.
If you normalize his numbers the same way Penn does, like, which I think is helpful. If you normalize Will's numbers, do you know what they would be like for that 50-20 season?
Yes, if we translated it, if we translated into today's game, he's 36 and 16. That's today.
Where'd you get that translation from?
By pace, I actually did this too. Not 36. I apologize, Miles. 31 and 16, not 36. It's 31 and 16.
Doesn't sound like an all-time great scoring peak.
31. It's interesting too, Miles, because Jordan in 89, I think he averaged 32 a game, 33 a game.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I think I'm gonna go with 91 Jordan probably because
he averaged 30 a game
postseason
or 31
postseason included. I also think I'm pretty sure MJ was more efficient than Wilt. And then I look at like the opponent defenses and stuff. I would argue that
led the league in
MJ
scoring
with a prolonged postseason run.
And
then you look, and that's just statistically. Then you look at the skill set, and you just see MJ just run away with it. So like, statistically, maybe Wilt can stack up with other great scoring seasons.
Yeah, Chill. If he that year, you just per 36'd it, but I tried to do 75, but I'm not going to do the math here. It'll be 37 and 19 for Wilt on 51% from the field, roughly. So. Yeah, that's very good. It's very good. But
when people say Jordan and averaging 37 and 87 or what he did in 88, I think 89 Jordan was better than 88 Jordan. And I get a lot of flack for that, but I think 89 Jordan was better than 88 Jordan. Being in 05, 06, I mean the 35 a game and then the 32 a game.
34% from three on that year. On
like he said, it wouldn't be surprising. I think that I'm not sure if it was that season, but then he had a scoring where he went 62 and 3/4. He had a 58 game in 3/4 too that year, something like that.
Durant had 3 seasons in there. I think that rival a lot of people. I think Harden has a couple years in there. Depends on how much volume to efficiency you're looking for.
2019 Harden is up there, purely regular season based. But I think once you start factoring in postseason, I think it has to be MJ personally.
Michael Jordan from 87 to 93, right?
Yeah,
was per 100 possessions, he was close to 44, 40, 43, 43, 40, 43 per 100 possessions. Like that's amazing scoring and super efficient. There is one player in the NBA today who's clipping those marks, by the way.
Who's that?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 45 per 100 possessions.
In the postseason?
In the regular season. And he has been more efficient than Michael Jordan, which is crazy to say, but also
in his era?
We're talking relative efficiency now?
Yeah, well, that's what we would always do. I think if you're comparing
Joel Embiid in last year averaged 51 points per 100 possessions, just putting out there.
That's
crazy. Yeah, it was crazy.
So I want to also say Joel Embiid is a regular season scorer, is one of the best scorers of all time.
Yeah,
but didn't we see that, Mars, with Chamberlain? He actually averaged 50 per 100 possessions. Didn't he do that?
Well, no, he averaged 50 in 130 possessions.
Does it matter to you how a player scores? Like when you're comparing someone like Michael to someone like say Shaq or Kareem, does it swing it? Is it all about the numbers? Is it all about, this guy went 45 more efficiency, or this guy had 39 on less efficiency? Or does it matter to you that they can score on all 3 levels? Does it matter to you they can go to left block, right block, that they have a lot of counters? Does it matter that they're bad at the line? Because I think like all of these things have to factor in if we're talking scoring, because they all contribute to scoring, right?
Sure.
And how much does playmaking factor into scoring? Because I think Jordan was a great playmaker.
Sure. And to your point, I think that those things factor in. But for a guy like Jabbar, where I have this one thing, and not only can you not stop it, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't have to do anything else. I'm going to keep doing this. You stop this, you stop me. And nobody stopped them. So if I can keep doing that, now don't get me wrong, Jordan, there were counters to what Jordan did. You know, we jump Jordan, we double team him, we make him pass out of the double team, we trap him in the corner. That wasn't the case with Jabbar. Jabbar was 7'2" with a sky hook that you couldn't get to it. No matter if you double teamed him, you triple teamed him, he had it running across the lane. He had it on the left block. He had it on the right block. He was turning over, and he even had it with the weak hand. He didn't just have it with the strong hand. So if you can't stop this, there's no reason for me to go to anything else. Now, don't get me wrong, Penn. I do believe in offensive versatility because I feel like you affect winning when you have some offensive versatility. But when I have this one thing that you can't stop, there's no reason for me to do anything else.
I think the efficiency from what the question that Penn asked, I think you could put efficiency in there. But as far as other ways to score, like you want to have a big man or just a guard, anybody in general that has counters, has multiple moves, can go use both hands, can go over both shoulders. You want that, but when you use Shaq as an example, I don't give a shit if you're turning around bank shot. I don't care what you're doing. When it comes to that level of dominance, I don't care. Like you can do whatever, but efficiency is where that could be a knock. To your point, his lack of free throw shooting ability can go into that. But other than that, like the way you score, if you dunk 15 times,
you just get it. You get it.
Team.
Dude, Mars, do you think that 23 Jokic season he averaged 36 on 63 from the field? Would you
36 what per 100 possessions?
Yeah, per 100. But then obviously he averaged 25 on 70 true shooting that year. I think he shot.
That's the year he was plus 12 relative true shooting, right?
Yeah, it was him. That's the most efficient high volume scoring season, not won MVP, I believe, ever. Because it was him and Steph, I think, back to back in 2016 in terms of efficiency per volume.
I mean, I think Charles Barkley might be up there, but
yeah. Do you think that season qualifies as one of the 10 best scoring seasons ever?
That's one of the 10 best. I don't know. Because are you talking like?
Does Adrian Dantley
get any love in this conversation?
Adrian has some conversation too.
100%. Are you saying a player can only be included once? Because I would take 7 different Jordan seasons.
Swipey, you did some yoga this morning?
What?
Did you do some yoga this morning?
Yoga?
Yoga, yes, yoga.
I don't really do yoga. I do stretch though, 100%.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're gonna pull a muscle the way you're reaching for that. You know
I think the most efficient 20 points per game season ever is important.
Unless you're saying just include each player once.
Because then if we're doing playoffs, he averaged 30 on 63, which is.
He was at plus 6 in the postseason.
I don't know if that was a reach. We remember what Joker looked like in 23. He was phenomenal.
That wasn't a better scoring season than what Embiid did.
It was dope. It was dope. But he said top 10 scoring season of all time.
Yeah, so Embiid.
It was regular season and playoffs. Like he was a plus 12, and then he was a plus 6 on 30 a game in the playoffs. That's one reason I asked.
Yo, I'm about to get to the next super chat before Swipe actually convinces us that Jokic belongs in this conversation. MP13 said, for clarification, Swiper, word connotation has nothing to do with what you were actually saying, even within the proper context. It's about the general association on a broad level spectrum, and that's what people will prioritize.
Yeah, I think if people are getting sensitive about hearing the word attacked, and then for them that's a negative connotation. No, I think that's what I'm saying. At some point, like it's upon you as the understander and as the person who's listening to listen better. I think if you would like to use another word than attack, that they're choosing to try to score on SGA over Lue, Dort, and Caruso and Dub. Maybe that makes you feel better. But typically in any context of scoring on someone, we say attack. If you choose to put somebody up in a pick and roll, you're choosing to attack that person in space or at the level. So I'm using the same numbers and the same language that I would use for anybody else. But I also think just collectively, like in our generation,
but you should take that as a compliment. I mean, that's us acknowledging your intelligence. You know
I don't. I'm never. No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he's
very good.
100% not.
I think he's just speaking about SGA the way we would speak about anyone. But people have such negative connotations to the vocabulary that it's just being.
No, here's the thing.
Mars, I never heard these words. I never heard these words like trigger words and gaslighting. I didn't even know though. I didn't even know.
Normally, when people,
I never even heard of that stuff until
when people choose the matchup they want, like we call that mismatch hunting. We call that attacking someone. That's not normally how it goes. When teams do that to SGA, all of a sudden we need to change the vocabulary? Like,
no,
but that's
I don't think we do.
First of all, it's ridiculous to suggest that teams are just attacking one specific player unless that player is a really bad defender, because Shai has help. He has layers of help, and he has help behind him. He has help next to him. The OKC Thunder are a defense that works on a string, just like any other great defense. Yes. This is like saying teams like to attack Michael Jordan because they wanted to avoid Scottie Pippen. What does that really even mean, though? I don't really get it.
But teams attacked Steph, and Steph's defense was on a string, but we understood that
Steph is nowhere near the defender that Shai is. What I'm going to say is that I have been, deeply throughout my life, I've been very, very curious about how people use words to manipulate, how people use words to persuade. It doesn't always need to be a bad thing. But when I sit here and say SGA is having a great season, and all this dude next to me right here, Mr. Kapovich, what he says is, "Oh, I see what you're doing, Penn. You capping for the Canadians, blah 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 blah."
That's actually not how the conversation started. I was talking about that's not how the conversation started at all.
That's what
Penn, I'm asking you.
Ron, would you focus, Ron? Hello, Ron.
Hold on,
I'm sorry.
I'm asking you very gently. I'm asking you very gently. Ron. I'm asking you very gently. Stop telling me. No.
Let him ask a question. Ask a question. Go ahead.
2 seconds.
Ask a question.
Penn, respectfully, I'm asking you very gently. Stop telling me and anyone else to shut up. I'm asking you, like for me especially, don't tell me to shut up anymore. No more.
You can tell me to shut up whenever you want.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Please, I'm respectfully. No, this is no like demoralizing thing. Respectfully,
fair enough.
But you could shush him how he just shushed
Ron. Focus, Ron.
I'm trying to. I'm getting back to the super chats. Masinko said thoughts on Dylan Harper if you've watched him.
Didn't.
I've watched him. He's great. He's my number 2. Yeah, I think he's phenomenal. He has a lot of wiggle to his game. I think he's an underrated defender. Gets downhill, very efficient in the mid range. I have some concerns about the release, a little bit flat, but overall, I think he's been one of the best players in college basketball.
Yeah, he's 3 behind Ace Bailey.
Him and his teammate. You still have Ace above him?
Him and his teammate will both go 2 and 3.
Ace turning it around. That's nice to see. I think
has Ace developed the handle?
He hasn't developed anything real because he's 19 years old.
Well, you can develop at 19. I mean, Cooper Flag's developing here at 18.
So y'all really don't think Ace got a handle?
I don't think Ace has a functional NBA level handle for what you think he's going to be in the league. You think he can be a primary offensive?
I see him as Rashard Lewis, basically. I see a lot of Rashard Lewis, Michael Porter Jr. in him. I don't necessarily think that's a player that you take top 3 in a draft this loaded. I really like Kaman Maluaj, bro. I think that's one guy who really, I think he's being slept on a little bit. I see him as being a top 3, top 4 player in this draft for sure. And Nolan Traore is to really turn it around too.
Respect, but if Michael Porter Jr. didn't have that back injury, I think he would have been completely different.
But that's because he moved a lot more fluid before the back injury.
I know, but those high school highlights reporter, man, I'm telling you.
You think that limited him to just being a jump shooter?
100%.
Have you seen him try and create his own shot nowadays?
Yeah. He was a way different player.
He lacks a lot of fluidity.
And then on top of that,
MPJ could have went like top 3 that year if it wasn't for that.
I had MPJ.
He was supposed to go number 1.
I still had MPJ.
That's how nice he was before that.
Just because
even with the back
number 1 in that draft.
Yes, I believe. Now, obviously,
that was DeAndre Ayton.
No, DeAndre Ayton was the number 1 pick.
Yeah, he was.
That was that
100%.
year,
He was 100% going over Ayton. It was the only thing that stacked.
If he didn't have
Luka came out
even with the back injuries, I had him go. He was top 3 for me. Like I was gonna take him top 3.
Yeah, chill. Remember, he had before he went down. His dad said to me directly that he dunked on somebody and he like landed on his back, but they didn't think anything of it. And he kept playing after that, and then it wasn't until it got progressively worse. He goes to Missouri. Everybody remembers the story and all that stuff happened. So they didn't even know it was like a serious back injury until that point. But obviously, everybody knows their family has a lot of injuries. Like Sierra Porter, crazy athlete. Injuries, all of them.
They all a whole family full of.
I think MPJ deserves a lot more credit than he gets for coming back from 2 back surgeries, 3 back surgeries. Like, and he's still a legitimate high-level contributor on a team that contends for titles, and he's one of the best shooters in the league.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching Ben Simmons, and everyone knows how I talk about Ben Simmons. He can't move the way he used to move. He just can't. Like, back injuries debilitate people. And like Ben Simmons, I still think is like an impactful player. He's still a great
Ended
passer.
Larry Johnson's career.
He still plays like good defense, in my opinion.
Yep.
But you look at how Ben Simmons used to move and how he moves now. Back injuries like can end careers and stuff. So MPJ deserves a lot of credit for being as good as he is with what he's
Mars. I'm gonna give you a tip right now since you're still a youngster, right? When you start getting up at
Jordan,
age,
if you're listening, this is for you too. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Jordan! It's your birthday.
Mars, I'm gonna give you a tip right now, Mars. When you get a little, as you get older, when you go down to tie your shoe, make sure you squat down. Don't just bend over to tie your shoe. All right, because there'll be a day when you pop up, what was that? So
but chill. People be laughing at you, chill. But you are in great shape, and you're gonna be in great shape because of the stuff you do in your workout and how you eat, bro. I'm telling you, man, like that's what matters.
Diet is crazy in terms of
3 times my age and in better shape.
How much it helps you.
Like I said, I'll continue to stand on it, bro. I'll see Chill in a couple months anyway, bro. I seen Chill, man. He's 35-year-old. Was like, who is that? Who is that? I said, that's Chilltown Hoops. That's Chilltown Hoops. Shout out. And then,
speaking of us,
we was out and about in public in Indy, and it was like, that Chill? That's Chill.
Well, we're gonna be out and about in public in San Francisco here very soon. Yeah, the private jet's gonna come pick us up. You see the private jet? It says Player's Choice right there on the side of it. Yeah, we're gonna fly on that wing right into Indy or right into San Francisco. They're gonna drop us off right on top of the Chase Center, and then we got to figure out how we're gonna get down and all that good stuff. But anyways, February 14th through the 16th, you guys can catch us All-Star Weekend in San Francisco. If you are there, tap in because we would love to connect with all of y'all.
100%.
Yeah.
Another super chat from Marquivian Black. He says, salute to the panel. Mars, Ox, Pencil, Swiper, Real Talk, Dub Host, and can't forget my fave, Cheerio. Dub Show.
Forget Chill. No, okay.
Want to say great show yesterday.
That dude is a sucker, yo. Forget that dude. He a sucker. He'll come to my page like when me and Tone talking. Salute panel. He a sucker. I'm good on that dude. Smiling. He's the epitome of that, yo. I'm good on him. He a sucker.
Damn. He like Brax smiling in your face, stab you in the back.
Yeah,
damn, Brax.
Okay.
Damn, champ. MP13 said, Swiper, your word selection is causing the confusion. Quote unquote attack has the connotation that he's an ideal choice because of a deficiency instead of the excellence of their defensive personnel.
Well, and just
he also made it abundantly clear that it was because of their personnel. Like he said that like 14 different times. He said, of all the options, Shai is the one you would
trying to convince people that someone is shady and that their actions or intentions are nefarious when they outright deny it, and then they create new narratives, and then they accuse you of doing something that they did first and kind of destabilizes you. It's just not worth it. So you know what, to MP13, I get what you're saying, but trust me, the person that you want to get what you're saying isn't going to get what you're going to say.
Everyone gets what he's saying. Even Swiper understands why it got misunderstood. But the misunderstanding is not on Swiper.
My thing is just keep the same energy on both sides, right? Like, and I think Real Talk addressed this literally an hour ago, and I think he hit it perfectly on the head. Every time somebody got to have a great, I just want people to be aware of biases. That's all I want. That's all I want.
It's like when you argue with your your girl. It's not what you said, it's how you said it. You hurt my feelings.
Yeah, but like that's the issue.
Care.
One could argue this started with
your
bias against Jalen.
That is the problem. You're right.
Sure. That's
you gotta respect people's feelings when you say things.
Wait. Mars, one more time, Mars.
This all started because Penn randomly said SGA is a better defender than Jaylen Brown, and we know that Penn is not high on Jaylen Brown. So one could argue this whole argument that's went on for 40 minutes started because of your bias, not Swipers, not Real Talks, not mine.
But he is a better defender than him.
That's fine. And the reason you brought up Jaylen Brown, of all players, one could argue is because of your bias.
Because he's the worst defender on a really good defense. That's why I brought him up. Because he's a worse defender than KP. He's a worse defender than Jason Tatum. But it's not a bias. The numbers are not biased, Mars, and you know it. If I ask you who's the worst defender, who's the worst defender in the Celtics?
Oh my God!
Tell me this answer without saying.
How many times has SGA locked Luka? How many times has SGA locked Luka?
Numbers 1000% have biases though, because the formulas come from what.
Okay, so tell me.
No, Swiper. If you just send in an edible arrangement, Swiper, everything will be okay. Send him an edible arrangement.
Who's the worst defender in the Celtics starting lineup?
It works every time.
Please, just let me know. Who's the worst defender in the Celtics starting lineup?
In my opinion, is Jaylen Brown.
Cool. Okay, so that's why I compared them. Not because I have an animosity towards Jaylen Brown. It's because you were talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being the worst defender on a really good defense. So I compared another really good defender on a really good defensive team. Nobody thinks Jaylen Brown is a defensive liability. He is a good defender, but he happens to be playing with 4 defenders who are a little bit better than him. Nobody is sitting there like, oh, there's Jaylen Brown. Let's attack him like we attack Luka and Jokic.
Jaylen Brown is used as those primary on-ball defender, so it's just not even
cool.
To be honest, but cool.
Ron, I want to be clear real quick. I actually agree with everything Swiper said. He was correct that his analysis, SGA is the worst defender. My point was, I don't give a damn right now. The nigga, he just scored 50-some points and he's MVP of the league. I don't care. He's the worst defender right now. That was my point. But
this would be like Giannis scores. It would be like saying Giannis scores 50, but I'd be like, oh, but he shot 10 for 26 from the line. People would be like, bro, he scored 50. It's like when Jokic goes out and has a triple-double and all people want to focus on is the one play he blew defensively. Look, man, the truth is we all have biases. It's good to accept it. It's good to accept it.
And I did not bring up his defense.
You did. You brought up his shots at the nail and how he could be one of the best.
And I did not bring up his defense.
You did do that. I remember.
You didn't bring up his defense?
No.
Jay Got Game said, first off, Dub Knicks, take a nap, Ron. Mars is a dub host.
I am a dub host.
I agree.
You know who's not a dub host? You, Ron.
But chill.
I also agree with that. That's also true.
Garbage.
2 things can be true. 3 things can be true.
I'm sorry, Ron. As you were saying.
How many things can be true at once, Ron?
1 million.
When I find 1,000,001 things that are true, you're gonna be cooked.
Well, do that. Write them all down and then send it to me. Average Joe became a YouTube member today. Shout out to Average Joe. Slow 757 became a YouTube member today too. Shout out to Slow. Irda said, since SGA is better than AI and he's the MVP, we are going to hold him to those standards in the playoffs. A finals appearance this year is mandatory.
And I will like to respond with what I said yesterday.
To those standards, though. You didn't hold.
Yeah, I want to 100% say that I disagree with this complete take. I don't think they should be held to that standard at all. I think they're a very young team, and I don't think SGA should be compared to any player prior to him to be slandered.
You know why?
Standalone great player.
You know why you saying that, Swiper? Because I can say the same thing. We did not say that Jordan was going to the finals in '88 when he won the league MVP. None of us said that. None of us.
No one also said that. Well, I mean, maybe people did say the Sixers were going to the finals, but that says more about the East. But like, that doesn't mean SGA has to go to the finals because AI went to the finals. But I also will say, if OKC don't make the finals, I would be kind of surprised.
Well, if he faces the 0-1 Raptors and the 0-1 Bucks, I'm sure he'll make it to the finals.
But we wasn't saying that about
if OKC played those teams, yeah, they make the finals.
By show of hands, how many of y'all said in 2007 when Steve Nash won the league MVP that they was going to the finals?
Nobody.
I wasn't born, so I can't tell you.
And in 2006, I did not have them going to the finals when Steve Nash won the league MVP. I didn't.
I don't want to say nobody because there were some people who were that high on the Suns, and I just think there was a hypothesis that teams like that don't win in the playoffs.
Maybe 07 chill. The Suns.
Well, 07 Dirk was the MVP. So
right. But I'm just saying,
even in 05,
that stretch right there, the Suns were really good.
Well, 06 they didn't have Amari, so I would expect no one would.
Right.
Nope.
But they made the conference finals, and then 05, I don't know if people would have had them winning, but 07 they would have won.
And I know none of y'all ain't had the Oklahoma City Thunder going to the finals when Russ won the league MVP. None of y'all did, because I know I did.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Ron, don't do that.
I'm trying to get to Teddy Hart's super chat. He sent through $20. He said, Mars, because the comments get read so late, no shade to Ron, it may seem like we didn't hear the clarifications that were made hours ago. I.e., my SGA comment. I know he's quote unquote the worst due to personnel, but not because of his own deficiencies.
We get that.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Ron be reading the super chat so far removed from the conversation that it makes you guys seem like you didn't understand what was going on just because Ron's 3 hours late. So at the end of the day, blame Ron. Yeah,
no shade to Ron. Yeah, shade to Ron. Yeah,
no shade to Ron. All shade.
100%.
I agree.
Garbage.
It be hot as hell sometimes. I need all the shade I could get.
You just had a goose down on a couple of days ago.
Well, I
that's
said
like
sometimes.
That's like those people that say no disrespect, but you're kind of stupid. Like there's disrespect. It is.
I don't think there's any disrespect.
And frankly, I don't respect anyone who even does that, because it's like you're not even self-aware to say you are disrespectful when you say that, right?
I hate when people talking like respectfully.
Yeah, respectfully. I mean, respectfully. Don't tell me to shut up, but I tell people to shut up all the time and scream over them all the time. I don't know.
No disrespect. Who does that?
Oh, Swappy, he's talking about you, Swappy.
Who does that?
Let me speak. I'm gonna drop my mic up to 10 decibels. Hey, can you hear me now?
In case you don't understand that was that short.
No disrespect.
Oh boy,
no disrespect.
Let me speak.
So, Ron, probably going forward, Ron, it might be best for Penn to be able to be on the show without me as much as possible, so he can get his takes off without being off my back. So what you should do is on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you can bring him on, and then when you bring him on in the second hour, I will jump off the show, and then he can just talk basketball, and then that way, like, it's not like Swiper versus Penn. It's just simply Penn standing on his own 10.
Are you saying that
then I can come on the show and Swiper standing on his own 10.
Yes or no?
Swiper, y'all can coexist.
Are you saying that he biting your style, Swiper? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Swiper? He biting your style?
No, it's not. We don't have the same style. I'm simply saying that I am not addressing anybody. I wasn't even involved in that, and my name got brought up. It's like I'm LeBron. It's like you're good, but you're not LeBron. Like it's chill. It's like when LeBron exists in the league. It's like real talk. Jokic is really good, but he's not LeBron. LeBron's not even in the combo at all. 100% not in the combo. He's gonna get brought up. My name will get brought up at some point in time by Penn. That's not even my real name. I want, like, it's just,
you must have read Legend of Winning's Guide to Manipulation.
No. What I am reading? Would you like to know what I am reading? You know what I am reading?
No.
Yes, I'm reading the biography for Hitler right now, again, from World War II and his rise to power. So it's actually really
good. Reading his biography, or you're reading Mein Kampf?
No, it's not. It's a biography, like not
by him. It's by somebody else. That's nice to know. Yes. I mean, that's cool. I respect anyone who wants to study history.
Cool. That's a great book.
Contrary to popular belief, Hitler was a rather interesting dude. Even though he was a lame. Yeah, even though he was a homicidal maniac. It was
his by Ian Kershaw. It's a combination book. Yeah, from his two
homicidal maniac.
Ron. Please
read
some money.
No, it's a history book. Like I don't. Again, that word has negative. It's a history book. I don't know what to tell you.
In light of what Elon Musk just did, the fact that this kind of weirdly sounds like a Adolf plug is getting really weird.
I would like to read super chats.
As you were saying, Ron.
W host.
Gabe Peterson became a YouTube member.
Yep.
Shout out to Gabe. MP13 back again. He said, you guys should treat Jokic like Voldemort, because this is the second time you guys overreact to a 50-point game and try to push them past Jokic and argue for an hour instead of praising SGA.
I do think Jokic should become the Voldemort.
I don't think he did that much today.
Look at bobblehead over there while you were reading that. Like,
you realize the amount of names you call people? Like, have you clocked yourself? Like,
it did not.
I don't understand where bobbleheady. Like, I haven't brought Joker up.
You were nodding your head along. Like,
there was an MVP question that was one question.
Rude about
matter of fact, I don't think Jokic has been brought up this entire episode except for who the MVPs are. That's it. And Ron asked the question.
Do you want me to stop calling you Crystal Ball Head too?
No, you can do whatever you want, because you're saying it from a funny place. I think different actually means what he says.
It's like,
I think that's when you can be mean spirited.
Honestly playing.
No, all y'all be playing. Chill. Chill. You're not chill. This is not a group of children.
Swipe a pen. All right, swipe a pen. I'm reading super chat.
Go ahead, Ron. I'm here. I'm 100% here.
Average Joe said, are we ready to admit this version of Shai is greater than Prime Westbrook?
It's crazy. The disrespect to Westbrook.
Prime Harden?
Disrespect.
We've seen them with talented teams.
He said Kyrie Irving. He didn't say
Harden. That's Kyrie.
I'm sorry, y'all. I was so baffled with the Westbrook. My bad. I couldn't even get to, like, my bad. Hey, legitimately. Prime Westbrook, or SGA, is greater than Prime Westbrook and Prime Kyrie. We've seen them with talented teams, and they've never led them to this.
Hey, Ron, we saw Westbrook have one of the best on-offs of all time in 2016.
But I do think Shai's better than Westbrook and Kyrie were.
He's way better than Kyrie, but Westbrook, man, that's crazy.
I don't think it's crazy. I think he's better than.
I think that's absolutely.
Mars? In your estimation, what is prime Westbrook?
This is
Like
insane.
What's the best version of Westbrook?
To 2017, like those years, 2015 to 2017.
and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from 20, let's say 23 up until this point.
I'm more so just saying last year and this year, but if you want to equal out the years, then I would say Westbrook's 3 years is probably better than Shai's 2.5 years.
But we haven't finished, by the way.
Yeah, if you ask me just this version of Shai versus like that version of Westbrook, I do think Shai's better than Westbrook.
Y'all call me a Russ hater all the time. I just want to put this on record and let y'all know that super chat is absolutely ridiculous.
So why isn't Shai better than Westbrook?
Well, I mean, what does he do better than Russ?
Score.
I think he's the better offensive and defensive player.
Oh, you said what doesn't he do? I thought you said what does.
So now he's better than Russ defensively?
He is.
2015 to 2017, Russ? Yes. Those years of Russell Westbrook, 2015 to 2017?
What you think?
And he just outright scores better than Westbrook too.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. That's not even the
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie. I'm just not Ron views Russ in a completely different light to I think most people. So I'm not gonna
halo effect.
I'm gonna ask Ox. Do you agree that SGA is better defensively? Do you agree that SGA is better defensively?
I don't.
The years I said 15 to 17, you think Russ was better?
Not throughout his career, just that specific time from 14, 15, 16, 17.
I'd argue by 2017 he wasn't even really playing defense.
And what would Russ look like on defense with Case and Wallace, Lou Dort, Chet, and all of that?
Let's not do
that. Because Shai is getting because I said earlier, and this is kind of what I was alluding to. Shai's not a defensive stopper, but when you got a whole unit behind you of defensive stoppers, you're gonna look a little better, even when you get picked on, because if somebody cooks you got help on top of help on top of help on top of help.
The reason
but this is the thing though,
not because how good he is guarding the ball. I think he's one of the best defensive playmakers in the league. I think he provides rim protection at a level that Russ doesn't compare to, and I think he's just more engaged defensively on a possession-to-possession basis.
I don't think it's a clear thing. I don't think it's a clear thing.
You can say Russ is a better on-ball defender. Like I genuinely wouldn't even argue that because Russ, when he's locked in and on the ball, can be a very good defender, and I would argue he's probably better than Shai in that regard.
Well, that's what I was going.
That's fully encapsulating defense. I do think that SGA is a more impactful defender on a game-by-game basis, on a possession-by-possession basis, than Russ was from 2015 to 2017.
Well, Mars, that's the part right there. When I'm talking about the on ball and all that, that's where I was looking at it, because with the help and everything else, that's when I do got to lean to Ron's statement as far as like the team around you. But as far as
isolation defender, I would agree.
As far as you just doing your job. So let me just put blinders on and ignore everything else. Okay. I do think Russ is a little better than Shai out there because of his explosion, his change of direction, and his strength. I can't know this, but looking at them on the court, it looks like Russ is stronger than SGA at that point. But once again, I can't actually know that. But as far as everything else, I think SGA's game is a little more aesthetically pleasing. He slows down a little bit more, but that's I think that's where the confusion comes in. I think Russ was doing everything. You know what I'm saying? His explosion, his speed, getting to the rim, getting downhill. The mid-range game, obviously, SGA.
But Russ was still, even around that time, Russ was still.
Yes, he was stopping and popping.
Russ was solid in the mid-range. SGA might be the best mid-range player in the league. Like,
right, exactly.
When you do little shit like that, I can say the same thing. Hey, right, SGA's nice at the rim, but Russ was dunking on niggas. Come on.
Yeah, but then the issue is like.
I never said that to compare him. I said that to say Russ was eating in the mid-range.
Yeah, but that's what I said to say. The gap isn't huge. Like I can understand.
It's not about a gap. We're talking about players overall. I'm not comparing each and every. I'm not comparing each and every individual aspect because that's
But chill. He's not doing a checklist thing. He's just talking about Russ's game.
Even if I was doing that, Morris, argument.
Did he turn the ball over twice the rate?
Stupid. It doesn't mean
did he assist that twice the rate?
I'm not doing the checklist because the checklist is just who does this better, who does this better. I'm saying SGA is vastly superior in the mid-range.
Okay, but why mention that? All I said was Russ was cooking in the mid-range. That's all I said.
The checklist is who does more categories better.
I understand that.
When we talk about evaluating players, the gaps in which players are better at certain things is important. And also the value of certain attributes. For example, rebounding is less valuable than playmaking. we understand. So Russ being a better
not necessarily, no. Not necessarily, no. That's you guys that act like rebounding is not
more valuable than
no,
rebounding.
That's you guys that act like rebounding is not nothing.
Rebounder. Do we agree?
What? Say that again.
Westbrook is more valuable as a playmaker than he is as a rebounder.
That's a game-to-game thing, Morris. That's a game-to-game thing.
Honestly, I think his playmaking is very linked to his rebounding.
On average, Russell Westbrook is a more valuable playmaker than he is a rebounder.
But how do you divide the rebounding from the playmaking when so much of his
transition
offense?
I can't disagree with you.
How much of his transition offense came off of those rebounds that he was getting? That's one of Russ's most unique advantages as a guard.
That's one of those things, Mars. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I can't just hands out be like, yeah, you're right about that, because it depends on who you're playing, style of play, what's going on in that game. It's just not a blanket statement.
Can we ask the question? Can we ask the question a different way? Is it more important for your point guard to be rebounding or to be creating opportunities for everybody else?
Or is it more category?
But I'm saying usually for the point guard though. Like, is it more important for him to be creative for everybody or just rebound?
In a traditional sense, real talk. In a traditional sense, I would say yes, you're right. But when we're talking like this ball now, I can't say that, because you got so many different offensive sets, offensive schemes that might not be predicated on my point guard being able to find open guys. You know, I might not need my point guard to be the floor general actually on, you know what I'm saying, at that, like on offense. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you might have a Jokic out there who I can dump the ball to down in the mid at the nail, and he's the one finding guys. You know what I'm saying? So I can't say that. But in a traditional sense, Mars, you are 100% correct.
I was talking in the sense of Russ against Shai.
Okay,
Not in the sense of basketball that playmaking is more valuable. Russ against Shai,
which one's more valuable?
Is going to be more valuable to both of them than the rebounding would be.
I think Russ's rebounding
gap is larger than if the rebounding gap is larger in favor of someone. The playmaking gap can be smaller, but still the better playmaker is still providing more value between the two.
But Russ,
look, Mars, when you look at it, when
you talk about both of their players and their attributes,
when you look at Russ's, but wait, Ron, when you look at Russ's ability,
them as players, the playmaking is weighted more. That's
when you look at Russ's ability to get long rebounds, get down there and get quick rebounds and push the break quick, get out of there. That is extremely valuable. You know what I'm saying? So I can't. So I do think Russ's rebounds,
and he provides an exceptional value. But
I think Russ's rebounding is more valuable.
Maybe I worded it.
I think
people are saying, but Russ had how many assists? I'm not saying Shai's a better playmaker, so the playmaking gap clears the rebounding gap. No, I'm saying when we're comparing two players, Russ and Shai, or even in general, point guards generally, but just Russ and Shai, the playmaking provides more of their overall impact than their rebounding does.
I don't think so for Russ. I think Russ's rebounding is more valuable than Shai's playmaking.
I'm not talking a check.
So Mark, if I'm misunderstanding you, I apologize. To Pin's point, I'm a little slow. But I think Russ's. I'm just playing, Pin. I'm just playing. I think Russ's rebounding is more impactful than SGA's playmaking.
And that's fine. And that wasn't the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make.
Right. Like I said, the
point I was trying to make is that I'm not doing the checklist argument. That was the point I was trying to make. Because certain attributes between these two are more valuable than others. That was the point I was trying to make. And I do think Russ is the better playmaker, and I do think Russ is the better rebounder. But when it comes down to overall offense, I think Shai is still the better offensive player because I do think there's a substantial scoring gap. Just the ability to self-generate, the ability to play without the basketball, the ability to fit next to a multitude of teammates and remain efficient, and the ability to overall shoot the basketball. I think Shai is the clearly better shooter. And when it comes down to getting to the rim and driving and drawing free throws, I still think Shai's better at that. Like, I think Russ is the better athlete. So, like, when someone's more explosive, they probably get given the credit of being a great finisher.
Like Ja.
Like Ja Morant, for example. Shai's a better finisher than Ja Morant, and I think Shai's a better finisher than Russell Westbrook too. And Shai's driving more than anyone in the NBA. So it's not like there's a major volume gap between the two. Shai is getting to the rim just as much, if not more than Russ. He's finishing better than Russ. He's getting to the line better than Russ. So his overall scoring, I do think,
and finishing at the stripe too, Mars. Don't leave that part.
Yeah, and he's a better free throw shooter as well.
Don't leave that part
so then when I talk about them as scorers, I do think there is a substantial gap. And when I talk about their overall offensive proficiency, although I do think Russ is the better passer and the better playmaker, when his playmaking comes from the level of ball dominance it comes from, I do think there is a ceiling on the level of offense you have with Russell Westbrook, as opposed to Shai, where I think Shai is more versatile in the sense that he can play on and off ball, create good offense for his teammates on.
I love the off ball point. I love the off ball point.
So when I'm talking about them as players and offensive engines, I do.
Russ is a hell of an off ball player.
But he's not the threat. He's not the
shooter. I'm just saying. Hey, I'm just saying.
When you catch a swing and you rip through and go.
Hey, no. Look at how he looks with Jokic.
2017.
He looks amazing with Jokic.
That's how he should have looked with KD.
As a slash Russ, like I'm not making
completely different players.
No, I'm not making the Russ that plays next to Jokic and is one of the best cutting guards in the NBA.
Russ would have been able to do that then.
But he wasn't though.
Okay, and he did do that then. He just
he
couldn't do it. I'm not. Russ didn't just all of a sudden learn how to play off ball.
SGA plays more
it's not a
within the
super
offense,
Westbrook. I'm telling you.
Because you're saying he could have done it, but he didn't. I'm saying based on what actually unfolded, what actually happened. Kawhi Leonard, to this day, can still be the best wing defender in basketball on a possession-to-possession basis. But the reality is...
That's different. That's different. He's hurt.
The reality is
he different.
Okay. And my point about Russell Westbrook is the reality is from 2015...
So that's like...
He didn't provide elite off-ball value.
Okay.
Because he had to have the largest on-ball loads in the NBA. That's cool. But I'm talking about what actually unfolded. Russell Westbrook off the ball was not providing value that I think SGA can and does. That's what I'm saying.
I get that part. I get that. Once again, I'm not comparing him to SGA. I said he is a hell of an off-ball player.
We should probably get to the rest of Superchats, bro.
Hell of an off-ball player.
Okay, but you're saying, but you said you didn't see it that year because of the role he was in. But that's just like me saying that Russ couldn't have led the league in scoring in 2015-16.
He did lead the league in scoring.
No. He led the league in 14-15. And then in 15-16, he went from 28 to 23 because KD came back. And then the next year, he went to leading the league in scoring with 31 points per game when KD left. That's just like saying because we didn't see him lead the league in scoring that year, he couldn't. Russ could have played off ball at that moment in time.
I'm not saying he couldn't play off the ball. I'm saying when I'm comparing
he wasn't efficient.
Current Shai to that prime Westbrook, I made it clear 15 to 17. I can talk about their skill sets and what they were capable of, but I'm also talking about what actually unfolded. And what actually unfolded is Russell Westbrook was not providing high level off ball value. So I could say in a different situation, he could, which is fine. Then I would also say he probably wouldn't average a triple-double in a different situation where he wouldn't have to do as much, which is fine because I don't really value.
I mean, he averaged a triple-double on other teams where he was
when he had a
second
very
option and he didn't
heavy on the ball. Russell Westbrook's been a very ball-dominant player since 2015.
Absolutely.
Very ball-dominant. Very ball-dominant.
But I'm saying in other situations, he showed you he could average a triple-double.
Yeah, when he was very ball-dominant.
In Washington, but not as ball-dominant.
Let me go look at it.
He wasn't. He clearly with the Wizards, he wasn't as ball dominant. Clearly with the next to James Harden, who's ball dominant, he wasn't as ball dominant.
He didn't average a triple double in Houston. So cool. Russell Westbrook was fourth in time of possession at 8.5 minutes in Washington. Very ball dominant. Only behind Luka, Trae Young, and James Harden. And he was behind James Harden by 0.1 minutes. Like he was very ball dominant. When you compare that to the years prior to that, where he wasn't as ball dominant, he wasn't the same. For example, in Houston, he was at 5.8, and guess what? He didn't average a triple-double. There's a heavy correlation between triple-doubles and usage and ball dominance for a guy like Russell Westbrook. The one time in that 5-year stretch he didn't average a triple-double, his time of possession was 5.8. Every other year was above 8. So yes.
And was he good off ball?
In Houston, I think he was a good off-ball player, yes. But when I talk about the years in his prime that I chose, 15 to 17, he wasn't providing that off-ball value. So when I talk about skill sets, I can say Russell Westbrook had the ability to be a good off-ball player as showcased in years following, like 2020. But I can also say he wasn't providing that impact as an off-ball player. Two different things. Was he capable of doing it? Possibly. And you see the evidence of that.
It's not a possibly. Like,
it is possibly.
It's not a possibly.
Because Russell Westbrook has developed as a better cutter now than he was, in my opinion, even next to Kevin Durant. In the small sample size of when he was playing next to KD and OKC, he wasn't as good of a cutter as he is now.
So you mean to tell me if you put this Jokic on that team,
I think out of necessity, I think Russ has improved as an off-ball player as he has declined as an overall player because he's had to adapt. he's had to change the way he plays because he got sent to LA and he had to play more off the ball. And then he was in LA and he had to, on the Clippers, he had to play more off the ball. And now in Denver, he has to play more without the ball.
Okay.
So he's evolved his game in a way that he didn't have to when he was in his prime. So I do think his skill set as an off-ball player has also improved, also along the side of he could have done more as an off-ball player in a different situation in his prime. But when I talk about the impact he was actually providing in those 3 years, he wasn't providing much impact away from the ball, largely because of the situation he was in 2 of those years without Kevin Durant. So I can also factor that in. When I talk about his impact, I'm talking about the fact he didn't do much off the ball. When I talk about his ability, he could have done more off the ball, but I still don't think he would be as valuable as Shai away from the ball because they're using Shai in the corners and he's coming off double screens and then he's drawing doubles and he's kicking out to guys wide open. Russell Westbrook, that's never really been who he is in terms of like coming off those off-ball actions and stuff. And then he doesn't shoot the ball as well away from the ball as Shai does.
I agree with that.
So when I'm talking about off-ball, I still think Shai has the edge, even if I wanted to say Russ could have been more off the ball in his prime. So offensively, I still favor Shai because I think his fit next to other people is better. I think he's a far superior scorer. I think he's far superior in isolation. And then I think the extra shooting and the off-ball stuff is more valuable than what Russ did as a ball-dominant, high-usage playmaker. And then when I factor in the turnovers, I think being able to control possessions is very important. I think turnovers generally get kind of overrated because I think if you're making extremely valuable passes and you have the ball in your hands the whole game, you're going to turn the ball over a lot. So like the 2017 Thunder didn't turn the ball over a whole lot as a team, but Russ just turned the ball over a lot individually because he had the ball the whole game. But when I look at Shai, his ability to control possessions individually, where he's forcing turnovers on one side and he's limiting turnovers on the other side with how much he has the ball, I do find that very valuable in a game where you have finite number of possessions. SGA is extremely efficient with his possessions and is also really good at generating extra possessions for his team. Similar way that Russ is really good at generating possessions with his rebounding. But I still do think SGA manufactures more possessions for his team because he turns the ball over a lot less. And he does more, in my opinion, with his possessions, with the extra efficient scoring. So I do think SGA is the better offensive player because of that. Although I don't think the gap is huge. But I do think SGA is the better defender in that stretch because of the off-ball value, the defensive playmaking, the rim protection, the more engagedness, the rotations. And I do think Russ was a better on-ball defender when engaged. But more often than not, he was on the weakest offensive player. More often than not, he wasn't engaged on the ball, especially when I look at 2017 in particular and 2015. 2016 was slightly better. But I still think SGA provided more defensive value. That's why I think SGA is better than Russ was.
Sure.
I just want to mention that the biggest gap between these two is the passing. And yes, it's a tremendous gap. And I just don't feel like that gap can be made up, whether you say scoring, whether you say it's defense, whether you say it's intangibles, whether you say it's off-ball play, whether you say it's aura, whatever you say it is. That gap is planets away.
Sure. Super chat.
I agree. But I also think Shai has a substantial passing gap between him and a lot of people who I think he's better than. So, like, Trey's a substantially better passer than Shai, but he's better than Trey. So,
Teddy Hart said, due to bias and fatigue voters of the past, which affected MJ, LeBron, etc., the domino effect of those decisions will be the reason they keep Joker from getting 4 MVPs. He's 95% skill based, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I mean,
I got a quick question, and I want to move on. Really quick question, Swiper. Is Joker's career over after this year? Like he's never playing?
No, I think if he doesn't win this year, he'll just win next year. I mean, he's going to be
like, that's it. What the hell's going on here? Like Joker's not. If he doesn't win it this year, that's it. He's never playing again, and he's never going to. What the hell's going on here? Am I losing? Am I in the matrix?
Well, this will be next year. Will be most likely, obviously, situational. You know, if he has another year like this or 20, you know, what I don't know what he's doing at this point. Whatever the next step of that is. Yeah, I mean, if he has 6 straight years of top 2 MVP finishes, you know, I don't know who else has done that.
Bird did it 7 times in 9 years.
Bird did it from when?
7 times in 9 years.
83 to 80.
To 88? No. 88,
yeah,
87,
88.
Yeah, man, special stuff.
Yeah, I just think by my MVP criteria, Jokic would still be the MVP this year. I just think this is the best MVP case anyone has ever put up against a Jokic.
100%.
This is like the typical MVP case, the all-time dominant single season individually, all-time dominant team results. And then you're looking at like the net rating stuff. Like, okay, he's like a plus 18 with Shai on the floor. That's like 2016 Curry. Like, it's like all markers of traditional MVPs. Shai's hitting every single one at an extremely high level. It's like that's why it's not like a Devin Booker 2022 situation or Chris Paul 2022 or a Donovan Mitchell on the Utah Jazz where they were the number 1 seed, but they didn't have these dominant impact markers.
Yeah, I mean, SGA just has to keep it up. Honestly, that's the only thing.
SGA is playing like a legitimate MVP candidate by the typical MVP metrics of history, which is why I think he's going to win it. But
the only other pathway, like I said, is the Nuggets get up to the 2 seed, and then Jokic has to maintain. But
you guys are quite close, right? 2 games.
They're a game and a half out.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Their schedule after this 5-game away stretch is soft, like super soft, and they're 15-5 in the last 20 with Joker. So let's just say, like, and then Aaron Gordon came back. Obviously, Murray's playing like he's an NBA player again. Yeah, I mean, they could win 50, 53, 54.
You guys play a back-to-back against OKC March 9th and 10th.
In March. That's what I was saying.
That might like spin the MVP race. Like,
we're 3 games behind you, Swiping, and we about to beat y'all ass tonight. So
yep. Shout out.
That is a good
This isn't the best case because Luka should have won it last year.
Yep. We know what you said last year. Real talk. I heard you say more. Penn, you've been muted for last 2 years.
having a more typical MVP season than Luka did last year.
You've been muted for the last 2 years.
The typical historical markers of an MVP.
We can't hear you, Penn.
Yeah, we can't hear you. I think SGA, because Luka was
I can hear Penn.
Whereas SGA is like, and Luka's net ratings were like +5, +6. SGA is hitting like all the markers of traditional MVP.
But if you also consider the fact that he was putting up the 34.99, Jokic outside of Jamal Murray, the rest of that starting 5 also played 70+ games alongside him
last year.
Yeah, last year. Aaron Gordon, MPJ, and I want to say KCP all played 70+ games. When you consider that Kyrie didn't play, I think he only played like 50.
What does that have to do with anything?
And I'm getting to it. And Derek Lively only played 53 or 58 also. I think the 7-game win gap isn't,
well, that wasn't why.
That's
primarily why he was better. What I'm saying, I'm not saying Luka didn't have a great MVP case, and the injuries and stuff are relevant. Also OKC are dealing with a bunch of injuries themselves. My point is, when you look at the typical markers of an MVP, it's a top 3 seed.
Yeah, he's like a
individual dominance from a box score perspective, and individual like impact markers.
Hence what Maul said. Typical
on all 3. He's on pace for 70 wins, which is a historic NBA regular season. The Dallas Mavericks wins. He's dealing with injuries to his second best player, and he's still dominating. Dallas Mavericks were dealing with injuries, but they weren't dominating to the level OKC are. And he's dominating from the individual like performance standards of the box score and stuff like Joe alluded to.
Oh no, I do think that SGA's case this year is also beating out Jokic. But I'm saying last
it's
year
the best MVP, like the best typical MVP.
Yeah, well, real talk. We're saying is, as I told you last year, all of the impact metrics that I read to you that he will read to you again, it was Joker by far, and Luka didn't have better argument than Shai last year.
Advanced analytics in a way that
Luka all the stuff that we brought up earlier.
So the advanced stats.
Oh, y'all are talking about.
Then the net rating.
Yeah, if you're using points per game, that's not gonna really.
Then the win-loss record is favoring SGA. Like Luka was losing in the win-loss department. He was losing in the impact metrics department. He was losing in like the on-court net rating department.
Yeah, on-court net rating record. All that.
In which he won was like the injuries to his roster. And the box score looked prettier in terms of 34.99 over 26, 12, and 8 or whatever Jokic average. So he won in a couple departments, which is why I think he had an argument. SGA is like neck and neck in the departments that Jokic usually runs away with, and is beating Jokic in the other departments, such as like the team success and the on-court net rating stuff, which is why I think is the best case. This is the best MVP case against Jokic I think there's been, and this is the best individual like MVP case.
Jokic. When's the last time you saw somebody have a higher EPM than Jokic?
Last year.
Shai had a high EPM last year.
He had higher. Yes, 100%. But EPM again, I want to be clear about this. I want to be very clear about this. I said this publicly. I threw EPM out in 2023 once it mattered, not a bit at all. All like that MVP race in 23, everything went Jokic, and it didn't matter at all. So I threw all that stuff out. But also too, like context, like I think EPM, like I just don't think SGA's 10th best defender in the sport this year. But I also understand like there's a reason why he's ahead of like certain people on his team and everything else. So I think it's important. I just think it's just like a catch-all metric. It's just probably not going to work anymore. Like PER, like win shares, VORB, like that stuff has to be taken in context for everything. But beyond all that, I just think SGA has just a tremendous MVP case this year. And I think if he wins it, he deserves it. It's that simple.
All right. Teddy Hart with the super chat. He said, while on OKC, Russ was horrible off ball due to his negative gravity, lack of general IQ, which I disagree, or shooting ability. He was supremely physically gifted, but his decision-making put a ceiling on how good we could ever be.
Teddy.
I don't agree with that last
Me
one.
neither.
I don't think Russ put the ceiling on the team. I just think Russ needs a certain level of roster construction in terms of like to nullify his flaws, just like any superstar. And OKC just didn't.
When he was off the floor, didn't they have like the worst offense in NBA history? Something goofy like that?
Yes, in
2017. Yes. Which means that when he was on the floor, he didn't have the ball. They were worse.
But 2016, I think Russ was amazing in the postseason and the regular season.
Yeah.
They just didn't win because of things outside of, in my opinion, Russell Westbrook. Like when you don't surround Russell Westbrook with floor spacing, when teams can shrink the floor on Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook and Roberson and Serge and Steven Adams, yeah, Russ not being able to shoot doesn't help. But with all the positive stuff Russ is bringing, respectfully, I'm going to be looking at Andre Roberson and Steven Adams and Serge more than I'm looking at him because he's providing that elite playmaking. I think Russ was the best playmaker in the 2016 playoffs. If you go back and watch what he was doing in terms of creating offense for his guys, it was amazing. What he did in that Spurs series, Kawhi was guarding Russell Westbrook and couldn't stay in front of him. Just couldn't stay in front of him. Russ was getting to the rim whenever he wanted. He was creating shots for guys. He was getting to the rim. He was scoring. Like, there was no answer for Russell Westbrook in the 2016 playoffs until Golden State changed their formula, had Draymond Green roam off Andre Roberson, ignore him, and blow up everything in the middle of the floor. That's not a Russell Westbrook problem. That's a roster construction problem. So I do think you could have won with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. OKC just didn't build, in my opinion, the team required.
They had Cephalosha, Andre Roberson at the 2 guard in all of those years.
That's my issue. That's my issue with OKC and they didn't build enough, in my opinion.
And by the way, this doesn't matter at all. Real talk. Russ is by far my favorite at his Apex, my favorite 2K player by far. You couldn't stay in front of him. I could drive to the rim whenever I wanted. You couldn't do it. I didn't want to play with KD.
And MJ.
Russ was more popular than KD even when they played together. I don't know if that's like
we talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we spoke about that a couple weeks ago.
And MJ235 said it has been a Butler type playoff riser in 3 playoff appearances, 60% true shooting in 5 playoff series, and he has a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is better than Spiders. Why aren't we factoring in playoffs when discussing his rank in the league?
We do factor in playoffs.
The playoffs is the only reason I think Ant is still probably a top 15 player in the league.
That's the only reason why. That's it. Because it's interesting that you didn't mention anything about the regular season. Where last season, where I think the first 2 months of the season, he couldn't shoot it very well. His mid-range shot went from 40%, 43%, 47% to I think it was under 40 at one point. So you didn't at any point bring up the regular season, but you brought up the playoffs because to you the playoffs matter most. You one of them dudes, and I can appreciate that. That's fine.
Well, I mean, most people end up valuing the playoffs more than the regular season. They just act like they don't. But this is the first regular season where Anthony Edwards is actually above league average true shooter. This is the first one of his career. So, and it's coming because
he's having one of the greatest.
He's shooting a 3 at a level that he's never replicated. Yeah. But he's also having his worst 2-point scoring season, which I think is in large part because of what's around him. But also,
once he puts those two things together, he'll be.
Once you give Ant spacing and Ant continues to progress as a decision maker, and if this shooting is real, that's what elevates Ant into like top 10 talks, in my opinion. And I just don't know how sustainable a lot of that stuff would be. But
I was hearing some crazy talks last year, my man.
Teddy Hart said, chill. Don't make it difficult for Joker to get many more MVPs. Penn mentioned it earlier that it is start getting uncomfortable historically. By the way, it's still Team SGA over here.
4 is who? LeBron and Wilt?
LeBron, Wilt, Russell.
Russell's 4. I thought he had 5. Down.
Jordan 2.
Jordan, yeah.
Well, 4 plus.
And Jabal.
Yeah, I'm talking about explicitly 4.
Oh, just 4.
Just 4. 4 is LeBron and Wilt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I predicted a couple years ago he's going to win 4 and 2 finals, so we're pacing for all that.
Okay, but yeah, 4 MVPs. That's a different because right now he's in Moses Malone has 3. Lights out. Okay,
according to Chill.
But like,
no, it's not according to me. He's got 3 of them. What are you talking about?
Everyone with 4 plus MVPs. If you rank the 60s, everyone.
I think that's the only time we actually ever argued angrily at each other. It's the Moses Malone and the Jokic conversation.
So, Kenny Winnie said, do you think CP3 would have had the same amount of success he had with the Clippers if he were on another team? And would the Clippers have been better or worse with different point guards during that time?
The Clippers would have been worse.
The perfect
worse
for that team.
The Clippers would have been worse.
He was the
Chris
best
Paul
point guard in the league at that time, so
for sure.
they would have been worse.
Where would Chris Paul have gone and had more success? I don't know. It's just where would his team have been healthy, and where would he have been healthy?
Yeah, in the which, like 2014, Paul, or we take 9, like 2000s, Paul.
Well, Clippers Paul, so 2012 onwards, right? 2012 to 16.
Put him on San Antonio. Take Tony Parker off that crew and put him on San Antonio. They rolling
easily. Yeah,
he could have went anywhere.
Chris Paul's an all-time
Miami.
great point guard who doesn't get enough flowers for how great he is.
Yeah, they rolling.
OKC.
Everywhere he goes, there's success. So
he's a top 5 point guard ever, in my opinion. So, and I think that should be like pretty accepted. But
like we talked a lot about ratings being down this year. That was a huge conversation earlier in the year. I think one of the reasons that we didn't talk about was that we often are very delayed in handing current greats their flowers. We wait too long. We dismiss it. I mean, people don't really understand what they're watching with Jokic, Giannis, Shai, because there's always someone saying, no, this dude was better, that dude was better. Can we just accept that potentially these three are going to go down in history as three of the top 25 players of all time? I think they're all on that trajectory. They could get there. So I think we're watching it right now. I think we're watching greatness right now, just like we were watching it with Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, all those guys. I just feel like we're very, very slow to acknowledge how great SGA is right now because we're too busy talking about other stuff. And
if he wins, it won't be too slow.
Well, I mean, if he was doing this in New York, if he was doing this for the Lakers, you'd be hearing all those conversations. He's doing this in Oklahoma, and that's the problem, right? Let's be honest.
If they win, he'll get.
If Wemby was doing this, if Wemby was doing what he's doing, we got a lot of small market superstars right now. A lot, and that's good. That's the league that
you got to stop bringing Wemby in these talks right now, gang. You got to stop doing that.
He was better than every single player that I'm talking about at 21. Every one of them. Okay, so yeah, I'm talking trajectory. I'm not talking actual career accomplishments.
I mean, we know. Well, I'm referring to more so this year, but yes,
tomorrow, fellas,
is on the all-time trajectory. That is true. That is true.
He might be the only player in the league that I can see legitimately saying when he retires, if he stays healthy, he'd be the greatest player of all time. Greatest all time.
Possibly.
Okay. All right. Hunter sent through a super chat. He said, "Shout out to Shai for being the second best player this season."
Sure,
I'd agree. Second or third. I don't know how I still feel about Giannis. So second or third best player this season.
How you feel about that? Real talk.
I think the best player in general has been Giannis. The MVP is Shai.
You think Jokic's been the third best player in the world this year? Real talk.
No, I think he's been second. As far as best player
this
overall,
year during the regular season.
Yeah, he thinks Giannis has been the best. And Jokic has been the second.
Giannis been the best.
Oh, Shai's been the
Jokic
third best.
has been the second best. Shai been the third best. Shai has the best MVP case though, so that's why he's the MVP right now.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That's why I don't care about the award.
Has Giannis been a better offensive player than Shai at least this year?
No.
But biting your nails is a sign of nervousness.
I'm asking him.
I'm just mentioning
he's better.
No, but I do think people tend to like somewhat underrate Giannis offensively because he can't shoot. But I will say this though. What would you call a probably top 3 of all time downhill threat with a 48% mid-range pull-up jumper now?
I call him Giannis.
I mean, is that not a all-time great offensive player that can also pass and play?
All-time great. I mean, it depends how many people you consider all-time great.
Because you guys are.
I'm asking in context.
I just think Shai's better offensively.
I don't know what the.
Okay. I just think Shai's better offensively this year.
I got Shai, but it's not like by the
a
wide
gap. Giannis been amazing offensively. I just think Shai's been better offensively.
Real talk. You said earlier. You said what numbers, right? You were like, what numbers are? I believe you said what numbers are putting SGA in these conversations. I would ask you, what numbers tell you that Giannis is better than SGA?
No, when I asked for numbers, that's when Mars was asking the question about impact on winning, and so I wanted him to like qualify what does he think.
Sure. So I'm asking you the same thing about Giannis. What numbers are telling you? Is his team better? Is there a particular analytic that you're looking at, like where he's better than
why I think he's the best player in the league?
Mm-hmm. What number puts
I think
him
he's the
over
best player in the
Jokic or
league.
Shai?
I think he's the best player in the league because again, he's again averaging 30, 12, and 6 on 60% from the field, I want to say. And then again, from a skill set perspective, I'm going to say that the guy that is an all-time great downhill threat and play finisher in the paint and also shooting 47, 48% from the mid-range and is playmaking and passing, and then is also having one of his better defensive seasons in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I think the combination of that, I think he's the best player in the league right now.
And underrated playmaking too. Let's not talk about that, but
So you don't think he's having one of his better
It's his best defensive season since 22, in my opinion.
It's not his best season all time.
No, it's not his best, but I'm saying it's one of his best.
I guess
his best
you know what the issue is right now? I think we're just very, very far apart on how good we think these certain players are, right? Like, I mean, when Chill's putting Jokic and Moses Malone conversations, maybe some people are like, that's a little bit underrating Jokic. And when you're saying that the third or fourth potentially best Giannis season is better than the best SGA season, now I'm like, okay, we're just very far apart.
No, wait, I didn't say that.
Is this the third or fourth best Giannis season, or you think this is the best Giannis season?
I don't think this is the third or fourth best Giannis season. No.
So what is it? The best?
It's either one or two. Yeah.
I personally think this is better than his MVP year.
Wait a minute.
Well, it's better than 2019.
1920?
2020 was a great year, and 2022 was a great year.
I don't think we're like really acknowledging how crazy Giannis is going right now.
We are very aware of it.
Giannis is going ballistic right now.
I'm aware. I just think 22 he was going ballistic. So
the field is two people. Why are you still?
That's a pretty big field right now. Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm not even like, I think SGA, and very similarly, I just think he's younger, he's new. I think people are he hasn't won anything yet, except for first team All NBAs. I just think like he's what people wanted Luka to be in some ways. Like he's doing it all, and he has the winning.
Yeah, I'm just not going to agree with SGA's better than Giannis right now, but.
No, I'm agreeing. I just think the season right now. I mean, if SGA does this and wins a title this year, like
I don't think he's playing better than Giannis.
Yeah, but I'd have that conversation. I wouldn't have the conversation that SGA is better than Giannis, but I would have the conversation that.
Yeah, I think those are two different things, and I also think that again, I think Giannis gets like underrated in these offensive talks because his skill set is more limited than the other two or three players or whoever the elite contemporaries are.
Well, you think he's relatively close to Jokic offensively? Because you said
no.
correctly, 30 and 6 on 60% plus from the field is why he's closer.
I do think it's this is what I said, in a regular season setting and a night in, night out basis, the gap isn't that wide because most teams in the league aren't equipped to even stop Giannis, even with his limited skill set. So I'm saying when I think what separates Jokic and these better offensive players is the fact that they have more counters to their game. But I would then just ask, like, well, if most teams can't stop Giannis from running to the rim and dunking the ball on a night in, night out basis, he's having relatively the same level of impact.
But real talk, Giannis has added counters into his game. He's added.
I know.
He's added turnaround fadeaways.
So Ron, how far is he away from Jokic offensively this season?
Swiper, you don't want to have this conversation.
No, I'm just asking.
You don't want to have this conversation.
No, I'm just asking. I'm legitimately asking.
You don't.
I'm literally asking you a question.
It's not as far as you. It's not close to as far as you believe it is.
Wait, are you talking about offensively?
No, it's a gap. It's the gap, but I'm saying
even offensively, it's not as far as you guys make it out to be. It really is.
For most of his career, he's been close to a 70% free throw shooter. This year, he's below 59%.
Yeah, he's having a bad free throw shooter.
That's the most important shot in the NBA. Free throws are the most efficient shot in the NBA. Literally, offenses are designed to try and get as many of those as possible. It's very important. I mean, it's great that he gets to the line. I'm just not seeing a single number where he's having a career high. Scoring, he's had 3 seasons on par or better. Turnovers, this is one of the 4 highest turnover seasons of his life. In terms of steals and blocks, if that's how you want to quantify defense to someone, it's not even close. Not even close.
Mid-range shooting is his career.
Mid-range shooting has been the uptick, and it's compensating for a lot of stuff. But you account for the higher turnovers, you account for the lower free throw shooting. I don't think this is one of the 3 best Giannis seasons. That's just my opinion. I think he's a better player.
Is a double-edged sword because it adds counters to his game, which is extremely valuable. But it also is lowering his rim frequency.
But this is also his worst 3-point shooting season. I mean,
and he's also finishing at the rim worse this year, which is.
But this is also he shoots.
He doesn't take threes.
I mean, I really don't care about Giannis' 3-point percentage. Honestly,
I don't.
Not taking them.
The fact that he's shooting less is more valuable to me.
Yeah,
Giannis shooting 2 threes a game is worse than Giannis shooting 0.7. Like he's just.
And when you ask me about where do I rank seasons, and you just said yourself that he's a better player now. That is more so how I look at things rather than like, oh, this season he was able to run.
He's harder to stop, is what I'm saying.
This year.
Like in years past, you could sort of try to keep him out of the paint, and he wouldn't really have too much of a response to that. Like you get two players, and he'd have to either pass out or take a very ineffective shot. Whereas now, I think it's really great that he's gone to this pull-up mid-range jump shot that he's hitting at a decent clip. I think that's a huge counter to what teams like to do against him. Right. That's just the same way I think that's a huge counter for Paolo. Right. You want to keep Paolo out of the paint. You want to keep Cade out of the paint. You want to keep these guys. The pull-up jumper is a great counter to that. The problem is, for me at least, is the floor shrinks a little bit with Giannis because of his inability to space out for others, which means you got to put the ball in his hands a little. With their best player, the best version of at least the best player that he's ever played with in his life, which should, in theory, make you more efficient everywhere. It's just there's areas of the floor where he's more efficient. There's areas of the floor where he's a lot less efficient. And threes and free throws are what modern offenses are designed around. But that's also what analytics prioritize those types of shots because they know they're the most efficient shots in the league. And he's the least efficient at the most.
Yeah, well, that will forever be you guys' problem with Giannis. He doesn't shoot threes, and he's not good from the free throw line. And you guys will use that.
He's dominant at the rim.
Every single other category.
I don't have a problem with the threes. The free throws, I think, is a valid concern to have.
It's funny that we were just arguing with Westbrook. That's you guys the same thing with Westbrook. So it's just like it is what it is.
I do think it's more.
I just think it's interesting that there's just for Ron and I know for real talk. There's smaller gap offensively, which I think is the
I think the offensive gap is substantial, but that's just
no. Wait. I don't. Again, I want to be clear. There is a gap between Jokic and Giannis offensively. I'm not saying that it's not.
But you're saying it's smaller than I think it's normalized by the consensus.
Correct. I think the gap is more exposed though in the playoffs when Jokic is able to use more of his complete offensive game.
Because obviously we haven't seen him.
Yeah, if I want to see if Giannis can hit mid-range shots in the playoffs.
Finally steps out there this year.
Giannis can average 40 in the playoffs this year.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to see the stars healthy this year.
He could.
All right, but back to the super chats. Ant MJ said, "Would you take Ant or SGA to start the playoffs?"
No, see, he had to go too far. He had to go too far.
When physicality ramps up and the refs swallow their whistle, I think it will hurt SGA's ceiling. Plus, Ant has played 4 more playoff games and is 3 years younger.
Yeah, I think SGA had a very good series versus Dallas last year, but I want to respect Ant's. He has put together a very good, for the most part, playoff resume so far, even though his deficiencies are showing up late in those series as well.
I trust SGA more. I think SGA 100%. Plays through. I actually think SGA plays through contact better than Ant does. I think SGA's intermediate shot making is more valuable. I think SGA's better handle is more valuable, and the better play. Merry Christmas, rapper. And the better playmaking and decision making is more valuable. I think Ant's pull up 3, since it normally seems to be going in the playoffs, is more valuable than than anything Shai provides from beyond the 3-point line. But Shai's still better again to the line, still the better decision maker, still the better passer, still the better scorer in the intermediate. And he's a better driver than Ant is as well. So I'm trusting Shai more. Although that New Orleans series wasn't great for him. So
Brax sent through a members chat. Shout out to Brax. He was with us on playback last night. Penn, you got a chance to talk to Brax. Well, Brax said, shout out to all my slow niggas. Shout out to fast niggas too. It's Zamzay sent through a members chat. He said emotional outburst and avoiding questions. And then he threw some interesting emojis in there. I don't seem to know what those mean, but
he's talking about Pen. He's talking about Pen.
Shout out to It's Zamzay. Petty Hardaway said, "Shout out Swiper. Reasonable people hear you out." Shout out to reasonable people.
I think both sides made valid points, but at the end of the day, if you just listen to what Swiper said, he didn't say anything wrong.
Teddy Hart said, "Chill. I said off ball, not off floor. I acknowledge he carried the team."
I think, but Chill was saying that when Russ isn't on the floor, that means he's off the ball. Like no one is on the ball. I think it's disingenuous because when we talk about off ball value, we're talking about when you're on the floor, what do you do without the ball in your hands? So it was disingenuous, but that's what he was talking about.
Lee Mack said, "Is Embiid the next Ewing?" A fair comparison still. I don't know if Ewing was as injury prone.
He wasn't as injury prone.
He wasn't. I think Embiid at his best is better than Ewing was, but just putting years together as Ewing is like far superior. And I think Ewing was dealing with like knee injuries a lot by like the mid and late 90s, but he was still able to like maintain like defensive value at least and still be like a tremendous like post up option as a scorer and tough shot maker. So I think the longevity part is where it's like Ewing's got him, but peak for peak, I do think.
I think Pat's legacy is somewhat tarnished by a lack of, I don't want to say playoff success, but it was largely, in my opinion, due to the 99 run that the Knicks went on, where without him, they got to the finals. And I think that's sort of, it's just like what happened with Zach LaVine last year, where when a team does better without you, it really does tarnish your reputation. When the Raptors went on that huge run without Vince Carter, they made it to the playoffs. People were like, maybe we're better without this guy. You really don't want the team to succeed without you in a weird way. And people just go crazy.
The 94 finals didn't help either.
But I think Joel Embiid is a way better player than Patrick Ewing ever was. Peak for peak, best for best, not close.
Hans Ding said, "Can we talk about what Chill said about Kobe being more of a downhill player than SGA? Insane statement."
I think he just means he's dunking on people. I think that's what he means, because SGA is like the most downhill guard in the league right now. Well, other than like Ja, everything with Ja is downhill, but that's out of necessity.
MP13 said, "Jaylen Brown has to have the least amount of spatial awareness I've ever seen for a player as talented as him. Kawhi would have had them boys in hell."
He really doesn't process double teams as well as I would have liked this far into his career. And you can see it when the Clippers were coming in to double team him. He didn't see it coming at all. And then he looked up and suddenly he had a triple team on him and he coughed up the basketball. But it's like, if you're a great player, I need you to see that coming before it comes. You know, great players read the court really well. That's what makes SGA and Jokic and Halliburton, Trae Young so special. It's just something that Jaylen Brown has always lacked.
Bro, Jaylen Brown handle is what does Chill call it? Elementary, whatever.
Elementary.
Yes, and it actually looks worse this year than it was last year. I actually thought it was a tad bit better, like he had made a stride. I'm like, okay, look at that. And then this year, it's just like he can't go tween Ron. Like it's kind of crazy. And then he's just not as good as people had, said he was prior to winning that Finals MVP. Start getting in top 10 conversations on a lot of lists, and that was very nasty.
I would love to, hear some reactions to people, saying that he shouldn't have been left off that Team USA team. Because
Hunters
100% deserved it.
Sent through the super chat. He said, "Do y'all think the gap in defense with SGA or Giannis is enough to get them in the range of Jokic, who I think is having the best offensive season ever?"
Personally, no, but I understand like the argument of the offensive gap is smaller than the defensive gap. I've always been a believer of like the higher up in like the all-time standings you get in terms of one side of the ball, the harder it is to make up those incremental gaps. For example, a difference between a 5 and a 7 on defense is not the same as the difference between an 8 and a 10. And I think Jokic is probably having the best offensive regular season ever. If not, it's one of the top 5. I don't think Giannis or Shai are really approaching that. Shai maybe with like the offensive impact stuff, but even then probably not. And then defensively, although Jokic in like the last few weeks actually been slightly better defensively, but still on the season below average defensively in my opinion. And Giannis has been all defensive level and Shai's been around all defensive level. I still don't think that gap is worth the major offensive gap that I see.
Can I ask you a question, Mars? If the Denver Nuggets were the number one team in the West, the way the OKC Thunder are, and OKC was like 4, 5, 6, whatever Denver is right now, this would be Jokic MVP 100%, right?
It would be a unanimous MVP.
Bingo. So I think that's just what it is. When two guys get this close, it really does come down to team success and narratives. And I think that's just favoring SGA so much right now. This is not disrespect. Anyone who's like, oh, Jokic is still marginally better. Sure. Yeah, that's possibly true. But I think the team success thing has always mattered when it comes to MVPs.
All right. Gunny said, swipe in his feelings. He did the same to Ticket when he joined PC. Even took his wrestling bits. Just eat it, Swiper.
I'll swipe.
Just eat it. Eat it. Teddy Hart said, SGA is worse wing defender on his team, or is the worst wing defender on his team, yet his defensive talent is still all NBA level. It's just that OKC's other defenders are that deep.
That's the point he made in the super chat earlier when he said you get to them 2 hours late. So there you go, Teddy Hart. 2 hours late.
Got to it though, Teddy. 7 gram swish. 7 gram swish said Swiper been real strange since he wore that scarf up here.
It's an imposter.
Herb Young said, congrats to Chill for getting the head coaching job of the New York Jets. Props to you and Schaefer.
Is that Aaron Glenn? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Shout out Aaron and shout out Chill. Midnight said, can we get a would you rather with current Shai versus the field as far as all-time guard peak seasons? Examples like Kobe, Harden, Wade, Luka, Curry, Nash.
Yeah, let's do that tomorrow, Ron.
Didn't we do it?
No, Penn did it by himself.
All right. Well, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. One Havoc 27 said the Cavs lost yesterday. Don't mean anything. No Mobley, LeVert, or Okoro. Garland missing those important free throws. Cavs beat the Celtics in 6.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that game, but real quick, yes, I don't think that's an indictment on the Cavs season. Garland went 3 for 8 from the line, I think. I just want to put out Houston were also missing Jabari. And Jabari could have solved that zone that you guys ran for 3 quarters. Like, so shut up. No NBA team.
And Jalen Green played bad. That's not normal in January.
So, yeah, I struggle seeing how Jalen Green was going to play well against the team that played zone for 3 quarters. Like with our spacing, Jalen Green's driving into 4 people. Like I'm not, unless he's making threes, it was going to be over for him. So I understand that. And he's dealing with a wrist injury. So just.
I also want to point out that the Rockets are the only team in the league that's beat the Cavs and OKC this year.
We beat a lot of the good teams. Like, our record against like the best teams in the league is very good.
Andre Bowie said, Penn thinking he knows everything is disgusting.
All these books behind me are why I don't know everything. It's why I don't know everything. I don't know everything. I'm learning every day.
Oh, those books are real?
No, it's just it's a hologram.
I thought they were PlayStation games.
Me too.
Those are PlayStation games.
Oh, okay,
those are books.
I wasn't bugging. Okay.
Oh, I thought that was just one of them, the green screen backgrounds.
Mm.
Matter of fact, grab one of them books. Them books ain't real. Oh, shit. Them books is real.
Yep.
All right. Classic said a Gobert/Porzingis trade would help both teams. Gobert brings consistent interior threat to the C's. Kristaps brings shooting and spacing to the Wolves. We like this?
What did he say?
Interior
Gobert-Porzingis trade.
Why the hell would the Celtics do that?
It's not possible. The salaries would never match.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Interior.
Superman Real said, Penn, this Scotty locking up Giannis is getting wild. Giannis was player of the game.
Game 1, Scotty up. Player of the game.
Game 1, he was the player of the game. Locked Scotty up the next game and had 35. But I agree with you about the Steph argument.
What was the Steph
I don't even agree with myself about the Steph argument because honestly, I'm seeing Steph regress before my eyes, and I can't believe it. Because when Mars told me that there was like a massive regression yesterday, what I saw the Kings do to Steph Curry, I haven't seen a lot of teams be able to do that to Steph. Now, I don't know if that's completely his supporting cast, if that's Dennis Schroeder handling the ball a lot. His quality of teammates has never quite been this bad. But yeah, and about the Scotty locking up Giannis thing, it is real. He had 11 points, man. Giannis hasn't had below 20 since for like you can go back years. Okay, these guys don't have these types of games. 11 points on 8.
Didn't he play y'all again and have like 34, 35?
35.
Yeah, and I'm trying to tell you that if you go and watch at the Buster Sports and you watch his possession, he broke down Scotty's defense on Giannis, on Paolo. It's one thing if you get a switch on Scotty in the full court and you score on RJ. I'm not rating that. I don't care about that. I'm isolating all your possessions against that guy, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, no secondary defender helping in the gaps. I'm talking you versus you, okay? And I'm saying Scotty has done a better job on Tatum, Giannis, and Paolo than any player in the league.
Hans Walker said the Suns are 20-7 when Booker and Durant play. By the way, I'm a Suns fan, and when Bill is on the court, he ruins everything. And I'm not even being horrible.
Again,
yeah, I think Bill is better in Milwaukee, just off the simple fact that the skill set isn't as redundant as
how's it not redundant next to Dame?
Because
I said as redundant. Yeah, all they have is Dame.
Like on the perimeter.
In Phoenix,
like,
you
essentially
have
too, but he just got back, but he's not playing the role that he used to over there. And I think Bradley Beal will be better with the ball in his hands at this moment in time.
Would you prefer Zach LaVine over Bradley Beal?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only reason why I have to think about it is because I just believe Bill's a better passer. I think he's better at creating.
He is.
So you see what I'm saying? I think, and next to Giannis.
Yeah. But why do you need a better passer next to Giannis when Giannis and Dame are better passers already? So it's like he's got to do the third stuff, right? He got to do the Middleton stuff.
So look at teams like, and I also think Bradley Beal's a better defender than Zach LaVine. So, but you got to look at teams like all these teams that are deep like that, like the Celtics. You go back to the Warriors and teams in between. Those teams have 4th, 5th, 6th, like playmakers, guys that not only play defense but they play make too. Your Andre Iguodala's, and just all the Sean Livingston's, all them other guys. I think like it makes a team better the more playmakers you have. If you have only 2 guys that can play make, that severely limits your team. If you have only 3 guys, it severely limits your team. So like that's why I like Beal on the team more than LaVine. I'm not saying that LaVine wouldn't be amazing over there, but Beal's a better defender and he's a better playmaker. The last 2K Bender said, is it me or when Chill says, I'm glad you brought that up, he's really not glad because he knows he's getting rinsed.
No, man, I love Chillisms, and honestly, this Aaron Glenn stuff is so stupid. I didn't know what Aaron Glenn looked like. I just looked it up and looked nothing like Chill. That's crazy. Anyone who brought that up is blind as shit.
Itzhak Ira said the Mavs are cooked. Trade Kyrie to Denver or Houston.
No, they're not cooked.
Julius Irvin said, Ron, Cade destroyed your boy last night. I'm so glad we didn't get the opportunity to talk about this because Swipe and Pit had beef today. Hit him up, said Curry getting double teamed at half court. He needs help.
It's true.
They need to give up.
Mike Valley Productions said Swiper being soft right now.
Shut up, Mike Valley. I'm just kidding.
Duke Diddy said, bring back our Sonics, Duke. I agree. Bring him back. Hurry up. Just Say Eli said, you guys think it should be an all-NBA coach team? All-NBA for coaches?
No.
That's interesting.
No, it's not a team.
Sure. I don't see why not.
Coaches at that point. It's not a team.
Huh.
I wouldn't be mad at it. Kareem NYK 2001 said, top 5 panelists of all time. RS?
Regular season?
Regular season?
I don't know. You guys will suck.
All right, here you go. Mars ain't rocking with none of y'all. Mars like, give me John D and 3 people off the
John
streets.
D 1, John D 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Oh damn. Okay, I'm gonna give John D some love. I'm gonna give John D some love for sure. I'm gonna give Chill some love. Jordan, Ticket, and myself.
There you go. I like that.
That's
5 by
a
the way.
terrible top 5.
That's a hell of a top 5. Fenton Jones said, you ain't low with the best wing shit, Swiper. You're not low, Swiper. Magnum Opus said, Swiper, don't speak on OKC anymore. Stick to Denver.
Just don't let Swiper speak.
Jalmar Skeet Nielsen said, Penn, stop being so antagonistic.
My mom told me never to pay attention to anyone who speaks in all caps.
Got him, Skeet
I don't
Nielsen.
do that. So I'm going to keep being antagonistic just because of you.
Shane the Artist said, did you watch the Warriors game, Penn? They threw the kitchen sink at Curry. What was he supposed to do?
No, I agree. And
we've been throwing the kitchen sink at Curry for 9 years.
I think you know how is when you're a superstar, when you're one of those top 8-9 players, everyone's throwing the kitchen sink at you, right? They're throwing the kitchen sink at Tatum. It's a little bit harder to do it to Tatum because he's got so much help around him, but they're doing it to Shai. They're doing it to Luka. Unfortunately, that regression that Mars was talking about is real, because I don't think that he would have necessarily crumbled against the Sacramento Kings the way he did last night. Credit to the Kings, though. I think Keon Ellis did a fantastic job. Fantastic. And DeMar DeRozan playing some defense. Loved it. Carrying the team on his back in the third quarter. Loved it.
I would like to chime in because Ox isn't here. Debo coming. Tuck your chain. Rah with a super chat. He said, I like sassy Swiper. He funny. Then he also said, trade Big Vooch. I like sassy Swiper.
You got one of those.
I wouldn't mind Vooch on the Lakers, man. I know a lot of Laker fans don't like that move, but because he's like,
because you understand that AD is not a defensive anchor, so you need a legitimate big. I understand it. Yep.
No, facts. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. You need a big.
Yo, Alan L said, he said, anyone else see Ron flinch when Penn pulled his book out? Ron Mayweather for real, yo.
That's crazy.
That's a good one. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, that's a good one. A lot of y'all sent through corny super chats, but that was a good one. Alan L, that was all right. That was cool. Boyd Century said, bring ticket back. This chat needs to pop it out. Yo, pause. What? Yo, chat, get your man Boyd Century. That was crazy. Teddy Hart said, let Penn finish. God damn.
Facts.
And then Teddy Hart said, Ox, let somebody get more than 3 words in, please.
Facts. Ox
worse than Swiper.
No,
Mike
he's
Valley
not.
Productions said, Dub Player's Choice, L Media.
Facts.
EB Sports Talk said SGA is top 5 in steals and blocks as a guard. LOL.
Who the last one to do that? D-Wade or something?
Probably.
Yeah,
I'm assuming D-Wade.
I mean, maybe John Wall. Because if he's saying top 5 in steals and blocks as a guard, I'm assuming John Wall was top 5 in both.
Oh, John Wall. Yeah.
What about Jalen Suggs? Should he be up there too? He could be up there.
Maybe
he will be up
I
there.
don't know if he gets enough blocks.
I can see Derek White being in there. Drew Holiday being in there.
Yeah, I'd assume John Wall was up there.
I don't think Marcus Smart gets a lot of blocks, but maybe him. I don't.
Fred VanVleet with his fake blocks.
I don't think he's the only one to be top 5 for a guard in both those categories.
Maybe top 5 is like a number 1 option. Okay, if we're doing that, then probably got to go back to D-Wade, maybe Kobe. MP13 said, Mars, please don't start this. Where were you starting, Mars?
We don't even know. We don't even know.
I know something horrible that Mars tried to start on his show with John D there. Yeah, for whatever reason, I do subject myself to watching Mars episodes, and this Steve Nash top 15 little campaign that you trying to start. Nah, you threw it out there.
Don't misrepresent me, sir. Don't misrepresent me. What I said was, if people are open to having a Steve Nash versus Steph Curry offensive conversation, because if you don't know, I was doing an episode where I was reacting to.
Oh no, I watched the episode. I was leaving out context.
I'm talking to the people who haven't watched it. Go check it out. It's actually very interesting. Someone gave me the take that Steve Nash is a better offensive engine than Steph Curry. So what I said was, if people are willing to have that conversation, what is stopping them from saying Steve Nash is one of the 15 best players ever? Is he that bad defensively that he can't be in those talks, even though he's a better offensive player than Steph? That's what I said. Not I think he's top 15. Not I think he's a better offensive engine than Steph. But I was answering the take that Howard.19 gave me, saying Steve Nash was a better offensive engine than Steph. And then I posed the question that if Steph Curry can be in offensive conversations with Magic Johnson,
you do think Nash is a better offensive engine because Steph Curry needs other people to extend the advantage.
I said I understand it.
Oh, you understand it.
I also then said I think Steph is the best ceiling raiser ever, and I value ceiling raising a whole lot. So I would take Steph Curry.
But Steve Nash is the better floor raiser.
I do think Steve Nash is
okay.
So I'm just pointing out that don't say something I didn't say technically.
I kind of said it, but I ain't really saying it. So, yeah.
Kareem NYK 2001 said, rank 2025 Shai, 09 Wade, 08 Kobe, 18 Harden. RS.
Regular season only.
Regular
09
season.
Wades, 25 Shai, 18 Harden, 08 Kobe.
There you go. Mike
same.
Said, chill. Why
Definitely
you
wasn't
ain't
my list.
dropped the link the other day? You duck. Gay Peterson said, talk about Cade versus Shai, Ron. Stop ducking. I'm a duck
Cade
too.
versus Trey,
Cade versus Trey. You
Yeah,
can't even
all
say
NBA,
it.
Ron.
You can't
all
even
NBA.
say it.
If
Yo,
Cade
he spent
Cunningham makes it all
$5.
Oh, now he
He
wants
He just left.
This fraud. What he said? I can't wait to see
I
Trey
don't-
Young outplay Cade and show who should be on the All NBA team. Let's talk about it. Who outplayed who? Who should be on the All NBA?
Rod said, Ron, I got Casper over Ace. I disagree.
Crazy.
And Mo said, what would Kawhi look like in the 90s? Chill's not here, and neither are we.